Hello and welcome to The Last Word on Spurs. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're listening to the show for the very first time, you can find us on iTunes, we're on Spotify, or on Audio Boom, we're across a host of different platforms. We're, of course, on Twitter at Last Word on Spurs, we're on Facebook and Instagram too. And we are back discussing Tottenham Hotspur inching their way through to the fourth round of the FA Cup. Delighted to have back alongside me, fresh, sporting quite a bit of a tan. We've got our crazy training instructor, Mr. Lee McQueen's in the house. Lee, lovely to have you back. How are you?
Yeah, really good, Rick. How you getting on, viewers and listeners? My dulcet tones. You can bin me off, or you can fast forward me when I start chatting and waffle, or you can get involved because we've got some really good stuff to talk about today. And I'm going with no goggles tonight. I don't know if anyone's noticed that, but I'm going for no goggles. I wore my glasses for a couple of weeks. I've had zero screen time because, as you say, I've been in Mexico. So I'm trying it for trying not to go with goggles. I'll probably be out by the end of it, and I'll be putting my glasses on. But I'm sure we'll get into all the glorious statistics of Tottenham Hotspur versus the Shrimpers tonight.
Amen. From Mexico to Lanzarote, I'm going to go to another wonderful guest on the show, in Richard Cracknell. Rich, lovely to have you back here. How are you?
Evening, Rick, Lee, Rob, and everybody watching and listening. Yeah, all good, thank you. And for those of you listening on the pod only, apologies for this because it's a bit of a visual one. This I've got tonight my Tottenham face mask because the moment you mention a certain midfielder, I've got to put it up to just try and stop you lip reading if I'm on mute, the things I might be saying. I'm desperately waiting for it to get to 9 p.m. past the watershed, and then I can start saying what I think. So the mask will be going up, Rick. So there you go. It's back down.
I've got to make you laugh. Maybe that's the way I've done my script like that. I think when we do talk about that certain individual, we do fall straight after the watershed. So that will work quite well. Also, when I reached out to this guy, I'll be honest, being at the same today, 45 minutes, and I was thinking, oh my God, what have I done? So pleased to be welcoming a debutant to The Last One on Spurs. Great to have Capital One presenter Rob Howard joins us. Rob, lovely to have you here. How are you?
I'm very well. Yeah, as you say, nearly at half time, I was like, oh, my wife was sat next to me. She came in and was like, at least there's lots of good stuff to talk about. At least there's talking points. I was like, I don't want talking points like these. They're called the Shrimps, Gemma. They're called the Shrimps. This is embarrassing. But yeah, we got there in the end, didn't we?
Didn't we just? I know it's all centered around one man. We'll come to that man very, very shortly. But, you know what, Lee, we'll start with you, fresh off the back of having a bit of a break. Listen, let's be honest about it. Familiar story, really. You know, Spurs' subs having to really bow them out of a tie in which really it could have become a humiliating defeat. I'll be honest, we're going to come on to, as we say, hard to see a way back from Ndombele overall. But Spurs in general today, how relieved are you? I use that word, Lee, relieved are you to be in the next round of the FA Cup?
Never in doubt, Rick. Never in doubt. I think I'm still hitting some tequilas. Yeah, look, I think it was a painful watch. It was very, very at times. I'm thinking, have we just been beamed back into Nuno ball? You know, Mora 2.0, as we talked about on the group. I'm thinking this is mental. And I know, Rick, personally, you had a couple of issues with the team that was picked. You was a bit worried about it. I personally wasn't worried about the team. So I'm thinking we're at home. We've now had 8-9 weeks under Conte. This is obviously going to be different. People are clearly going to take their chance. Morecambe have conceded 49 league goals in their campaign so far. And we're not even, we're only halfway through. 49 goals they've conceded. And I'm thinking, fair play to them. They've turned up. Brilliant fans. I was gutted. I have to say to begin with, I'm gutted for their manager, Robinson, because he come down with COVID. Thanks, Kieran. He come down with COVID, so he couldn't be there today, which was a real shame. And then I don't think we was there today, was we? In terms of players, I don't think we turned up, certainly for the first half. I'm going to whip up my rule book, my blue book, my stats. You know, everybody loves my stats. I've got to whip it up because I'm going to read them out to you. And I'm thinking we should have absolutely pummeled them. 26 shots, 7 on target, 80% possession, 760 passes, 91% passing accuracy on them passes. I'm thinking, wow, we are going to absolutely trounce them. But the reality of the situation was we were bad in the first half, weren't we, listeners and viewers? I was thinking they had the better chances. Like to be fair, I'm thinking this could go down here. We could go down. So obviously relieved to get through. in the end, it looked quite comfortable, right? At the end of the day, with them stats, and you go 3-1, and if somebody's looking in, just checking on the CFAX, do you remember that, listeners and viewers?
Oh, we do. The old bamboozle.
The old bamboozle, exactly. But epic. You go and do that back in the day, you'd think, oh, Tottenham just walked that game. But it weren't like that, was it, lads and listeners and viewers today? So it was, I mean, somebody just put up there, embarrassing. It was embarrassing at some points today. I was looking at this thinking, come on, lads. I mean, seriously. There was people running into dead ends. There was people, I mean, I'm sure we're going to get into all of the individual players and say, oh, I don't want to dig players out, but sometimes you have to. I mean, the passing was woeful. Even though it says we've got 91% accuracy, and I'm thinking, really? I counted at least 4 wayward passes from Jaffet alone. Yeah. So, somebody must have been doing something different. But look, as I say, it is a relief. We are in the next round, and this is the thing about winning stuff or not winning stuff in the Spurs case, is that it is all about the next round, isn't it? Getting through to the next round, and we got through to the next round.
Absolutely. Rich, let's come over to you. I mean, as I said to Lee, we got there in the end, but my God, did we need to bring on the cavalry to beat, let's be honest about it, the 21st best team in League One. And when you put that into, complexity of where Spurs are at right now, Mora was superb when he came on. Wink's probably the best of the starters that we had in the pitch. But, I'll be honest, on a day which we've seen Arsenal just get beat, and we enjoyed seeing Arsenal get beat. And, we've now got a tie up against Brighton. I think it again reaffirms the fact that this competition should be massive for Tottenham. It's an opportunity to get far again in a domestic competition. We need no reminding, Spurs haven't won this cup since 1991. Far, far too long for this great football club. Rich, how do you feel on the back of what was a crazy, chaotic 93.5 minutes?
Well, do you know what, Rick? Yesterday at the end of training, Antonio Conte should have called over Harry and gone, Harry, come here. He says, listen, day off tomorrow, son, okay? I've a little treat for you. You and Kate, all right? Got you a little Uber, going to pick you up. Got my cousin Gianni, got a little trattoria just off of Old Compton Street, okay? And run you down there. He's going to do you a lovely little ossobuco for 2. Yeah, going to pair it up with a little Tuscan Brunello wine. Okay, a little bit of Enrico Caruso playing in the background. Going to knock your socks off. Lovely little dinner tomorrow. Don't bother coming over the lane. We've got this sorted. No, instead, gets an hour into the game and he's like, H, do us a favour. Can you come and dig these mugs out the shit here, please? Like, it shouldn't be happening, Rick, should it? There shouldn't be no Mora coming on today, no Kane coming on today, no Skip coming on today. They should have all just been doing elsewise. Yeah. But yet again, you dig below that first 11 and it's toilet. It is absolutely toilet. And there's some people there now, I kind of get those that aren't good enough, but try. God bless them. Well done. But those in that team that are strolling around at the moment are just, it's abysmal. It's shocking. So, going below this first 11, and we really are in the madhouse. I mean, there was rumours that Daniel had gone out to see Uncle Joe on his boat and see if he wanted some money. I don't think that actually happened. But if it did, by the time Uncle Joe's finished spending on this team, he's going to be floating around the Caribbean on a lilo because he's had to sell everything. Forget ships. He's on a lilo the time he's spent what he needs to spend on this team. Honestly, there are some people that really need to shape up and some that definitely need to shift out.
Can I just say, for our viewing audience and listeners that are ever worried about Richard Cracknell running out of allergies, what are you worried about? They're here every week. So what's the concern? Where's he going to find them from? There's a couple more to go, Ron. We're only just started, so more to come. Rob, let's come over to you. Before we do, actually, I just want to say, Fiona, I saw your Twitter post earlier. Absolutely incredible effort. You went to the game to travel from Australia. And I'll be honest with you, Fiona, at half-time, you were one of the fans. I'm thinking, my God, come all the way from Oz for that. It could have been, and it may have been an absolutely horrendous day, but it wasn't. Spurs did go through. Rob, let's come over to you because many will feel like they got away with that. It was 3 goals in 16 minutes to get us through. Conte, after the game, said, I think for a big part of that game, we struggled. In the end, we have to be disappointed because we can do much better. Our target was to go to the next round. And that's what I love about Conte. Very, very honest after the game. He'll tell it as it is. He'll say if we've struggled, we've struggled. Rob, how did you feel on the back of watching that game? It was a roller coaster, to be fair.
It was. Do you know in the last interview against Chelsea where he said, "Oh, we're struggling in every game." I like to think that the Morecambe game would be like the one game that we got through without a struggle. And then you could do you know what the thing was? You could see it coming. Like in the first 10 minutes when we started doing that thing where we carry the ball up to the edge of the area, and then we don't quite know what to do, and then we pass it to the wing backs, who then kind of think, shall I cross it? Shall I not? And then you could kind of see, and it just looked really slow and energy, like no energy. And the thing that was a bit worrying was it's not like there are a load of kids playing or something like that. You think Ndombele, Lo Celso, what's that, 100 million? You then got, I know these days are long gone, but Dele at one point was like 80 million he was supposedly valued at. And you kind of go, this isn't a team of mugs we've put out. It's not like, the second string team and a load of 19-year-olds. These are big international players. And you're like, I know, I'm sure we'll get onto Ndombele and a few of them, but you kind of would have thought the attitude would be like, do you know what? We are so much better than these people. Like, let's take the piss a little bit. Like, let's just like have a bit of swagger. And they honestly look like, I don't know. It just looked a bit like they didn't really have ideas. At some points, Morecambe looked a bit like they had a bit more of a clear kind of idea of what they were kind of doing, whereas we just couldn't. I guess it's that final pass a bit again, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I say, we'll be honest about that. That at first 11 when it came out, I mean, I share my reservations. Before we discuss that first 11, this is a couple of comments we've had on the actual game and the starting 11 itself. Drew Wilton says, what have we learnt since Zagreb? Corey Albone says, which players have surely played their last game for Spurs today? For me personally, I say Galini, Doherty, Rhoden and Ndombele are all done. Ali was terrible, but played out of position with no service. Some positives were the Sessegnon and Hill, who I'd like to see more minutes given. The Celso, still for me, I'm unsure. Rick Kennedy says, of that starting 11, how many of those players are truly worth even being squad-level players? We've overrated these guys for such a long time. Full-on refresh needed. Kieran Coy says, it took 3 first teamers to save the game. How many, if any, of that starting lineup do we want to keep? And assuming most of them, how long do we really think they are going to take to offload and upgrade? Feels like there's a lot deeper than the length of Conte's typical reign. And Rich, that kind of goes back to your point you just said a couple of minutes ago. Ben Hodgson says, whether people like it or not, and Lee, you'll love this, it may be a sign of where we're massively missing Eric Dyer's leadership over his last 2 games. And only for you, we've had a bit of a battle, me and you, backwards and forwards on the WhatsApp about Eric Dyer. And I've got to be honest to say, Lee, that you've pinned me down on this one and counted me out, really. I think Eric Dyer, again today, he's shown a lot of people why Joe Rhoden isn't really getting his chance. So, we'll discuss the 11 in a second. But, I mean, coming over back to you, Lee, there's many that say you could make a case for 9 of those players that started that game for getting sold because, a team of players there, that should be really looking to prove Conte wrong. And ultimately, and that's an opportunity to fight, to prove that you're worth the salt for the manager. And again, they're proving the doubters absolutely right, aren't they, Lee?
Well, I mean, this is where it's really baffling. I'm wondering whether or not the struggle message that Conte put out after the Chelsea game, which is out there for everybody to hear and to see and to read and stuff now, is almost like a message publicly to dig out some of the players that think that they've made it, that they think they've already done it, that they think that they don't need to do any more. I mean, I'm sure we've probably got 2 or 3 players' names in our heads that we will probably say to that. The likes of a Dele Alli or the likes of an Ndombele, that just doesn't feel. I mean, I can't fathom why somebody like Dele Alli, and Frank said it in the group earlier, how does somebody become so bad? I mean, I've been one of his biggest fans, like in terms of.
I think a lot of us are. Yeah, absolutely.
He's an absolute superstar as a kid. So I don't want to be rude to him, but as a kid, he was an absolute superstar. And it's like he's done already at 24. Like he can't. He's forgotten almost how to play football the way he used to be, and it's just. So I'm wondering whether that struggle message. But you can't argue. I mean, Japhet Tanganga today, again, one of our own, and I love the fella. I love the fact he's come through the academy. I love that about our football club. I love seeing, like when Winks is getting a load of stick. I don't like it because he's one of our own, but you got to give opinions and stick where it's due. Skip, obviously we love Skip. He's playing really well. He's one of our own. Harry Kane, obviously one of our own. I love that stuff about our football club. Don't you, lads? Don't you, listeners, viewers? I love
absolutely.
That.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to be sitting there criticising Japhet, but an absolute mare against Chelsea. And today he had an absolute mare. Like he did. He's better in the second half. But we're talking League One opposition with the greatest respect to Morecambe. And, Joe Rhoden, me and you crackers, we said it on the group earlier. Like, you said, do you think that's one of the reasons why he's not been playing? I'm like, yeah, because he was just rubbish. Like he couldn't ping the ball. And I know, just to clarify the Dyer comments, I'm not saying, by the way, Conte did say this. I'm not saying Eric Dyer is going to be world class, right? Although Conte said it. I'm saying that he plays in a situation now where at least he can play that, like, kind of, to coin a phrase from Ali Gold, that quarterback position. So you're getting some passes, some long range passes, them pings, them Toby pings, if you like, that actually you get that now from Dyer. And when Dyer's not in the side, you don't get that either. So not only do you not get his aerial presence and maybe his leadership, if you like, from the back, you also don't get them pings. So it is difficult. But when else are you going to play Jaffet Tangangas, the Joe Rodens, Matt Doherty's, and whatever, if you don't play them in a game against Morecambe, who are a League One side in the first or third round, obviously, but our first round of the FA Cup. This is what this is designed for. What I would say is Thomas Tuchel over at Chelsea, he played a very, very strong side against Chesterfield yesterday. And then he got the job done, and then he took off some of the players and then brought some of the younger. We just did the opposite way round today. And we still got the job done. Like Liverpool, they went 1-0 down today. No one's. Do
you think in a way there's an argument to say, on paper, Conte masterclass. He rested all the big guns, got through it, 20 minutes, threw them on, got the result.
Exactly.
As you say, like flick reverse to Chelsea.
He didn't look. He didn't look happy at full time at all. I just think coming over to you, Rich. We've said a lot about that 11, and if you go deeper, listen, we'll go into it. Conte made the 8 changes as we discussed. He already indicated that Ndombele and Dele Alli would play, and that Harry Kane was going to be rested ahead of the game. He was true to his word. Return to that team was Matt Doherty, Ryan Sessegnon in at wing back. Joe Rhoden had been struggling, to be fair to Joe, with a rib injury, but he battled through to start the game. Heung-min Son, as we know, hamstring injury for him. Now out for a while, we think at least 2 weeks. Brian Hill, Celso getting some much needed game time under their belts, and both Scarlett and Maxim Patkowski on the bench. That team read Galini, Tanganga, Rhoden, Davis, Doherty, and Ndombele, Winks, Celso, Sessegnon, Dele, Hill, with the subs of Lloris, Sanchez, Patkowski, Emerson, Højbjerg, Skip, Lucas, Scarlett, Kane. Did you share my concerns, Rich? I said it into the group as well. When that team came out, I was really, really concerned that, to me on paper, that was almost like for like a very similar lineup to the one we saw against NS Mora, where we just did not turn up.
Well, I think we need to be thankful that the Morecambe manager wasn't in prison like Mora's was, really. Otherwise, that would have been the end of us today, wouldn't it? It was. It's bizarre, Rick, because they must all train together during the week, so they must work set plays and patterns and everything. So I can't understand why they can't just slot in and slot out and just all play to a blueprint. It's really, really bizarre. And even today, Rhoden and Galini, there was a bit of a mix-up, and Rhoden ended up facing his own goal. He thought Galini was coming. Galini thought Rhoden was going to deal with it, and in the end, Rhoden done the right thing and just sort of levered it out. And but Rhoden turned to Galini, just gave him a bit of a glance, and they sort of gave each other a little bit of a pat on the back. Really, Rhoden should have cleared the ball, carried on running, and just put one straight on Galini's chin.
Yeah.
That's how much this should mean. He should have absolutely tore him a new one. But he just sort of looked.
By the way,
yeah,
that was
the goal, wasn't it?
They scored. Yeah,
exactly.
He whacked it out. Exactly.
Yeah. And from that corner, we get the goal. So Rhoden should have Galini by the throat for that. But that's how much it should mean to these players. Here's my chance to get into this first 11 and impress and go on. And we've had a little bit of a clown's car on fire of an incident, a previous quote, and they just sort of went, oh, it's a corner. Oh well, it could have been worse, couldn't it? Well, guess what? It was worse. They went 1-0 up, and it was embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. So I'm just that lack of fight from that 11, that, you know, just under the surface 11. You were right,
What
Rick,
is it,
you know,
Crackers?
to see that 11 and
I'd
you
said
think, oh, here's
8,
Mora again.
8
Here
changes.
comes Mora again.
Yeah.
It
But
don't
you're,
work.
but yours crazy though. Go on, Lee.
Sorry, just quickly. Just a question back to you guys. Why can't they get up for it? That's my beef.
Because I think they all know,
Do you
though.
know what
Lee,
I think it is?
They all go on, Rob.
Sorry,
go on, Rob.
I was just going to say. Do you know what I think? I think some of them, as you say, Crackers, you're saying they run all the drills and stuff in training. That's the whole Conte thing, where it's like building an IKEA piece of furniture, where it's like there's a manual and you know what to do. I genuinely think some of them just aren't up to it. So it will come to whoever, and it'll be like, he'll know the old open up the Conte textbook, and it'll be like, right, I'm looking for this pass down here, I'm looking here. And they look up and they just don't have it in the locker. Like the number of times I've seen this ball on, I don't know if you've seen it, where it'll be someone will get it, and it'll be sort of in the near the halfway line, and all the play will have been on one side, and then the opposition fullback will go wing back will go flying up and be in so much space, and there's like you don't even have to like put it through the air, diagonal ball, and you just have to slot a pass across that like someone like Ericsson would just pick out, and they look up. And then it's like they just go, I can't do that. I'm not going to be able to pull it off. So I think a lot of it is that they're just not quite up to the standard.
They need to be braver.
And then they're worried of getting the ball.
It goes back to my point though. When you've got only we discussed this briefly, between us that there's elements that 11 that was selected today that those players either don't want to be there or know that they're going to go. So when you've then got changes them up to 8 changes of a team where you've got players that don't want to be there, you've got a lack of rhythm, a lack of fluidity. I think it's then very hard to expect to get a performance. And I think it doesn't matter who you're playing. It could be Morecambe, it could be NS Mora, who we know are a part-time side. I could see today, the minute that lineup came out, and you're right, we shouldn't be concerned. We shouldn't be struggling. The quality and the amount of money spent on that pitch today, in terms of the players that are on there, we should not be struggling. It's what makes me laugh.
The other problem you've got, Rick, as well, is 2 of your senior players on there today in Ndombele and Delhi, were probably going in to see the commercial department back in like November time and saying, can't see our pages on the 2022 calendar here. We don't seem to be on like the club's calendar for next year. And it's like, well, Antonio's probably going to be speaking to you very soon about that. So if they know they're out the door, why are they going to bother being that leader and that, that stepped up leader and the voice and trying to pull everything together on the pitch? And, there's your 2 senior players that are now surplus to requirement.
Yeah, for me, again, when you make up to 8 changes, you're always taking a risk. And I think that's irregardless of whether you're going to be playing a championship team, a Premier League team, League One or League Two. Because you've got to remember something, for Morecambe, this is the game of their lives. So a lot of these players are going to raise their level to what you've never seen before. Because realistically, when are some of these players ever going to get the chance to play in the Premier League at one of the best stadiums in the world? And that winds people up when I say that. And I don't mean to be patronising, but it is one of the best stadiums in the world.
No,
so when these players want to come and play there, they're going to give absolutely everything.
It's like going to Wembley, It's like going to Wembley.
It is for them. It's a day out for their fans.
Their
for those fans, Lee, even scoring, that means everything to them. That means, and the fact is, for 70 minutes, they were going to go ahead. They're going to go through. That was the biggest worry.
I mean, seeing some of the comments about, and I'm not disagreeing with them. I'm just reading some of the comments out, about they don't care, they're not invested in the team, so they don't really worry about the result or whatever. Look, he's had a lot of stick from Last Word on Spurs, on our group, from loads of fans. And I called him Winky for a bit of a joke because that's what Conte called him when he first came in. But he epitomises what you're looking for. He was well out of team, well out the door, and everybody wanted him gone. And what Winky has done is he's got his head down and he's really, really given the manager a decision to make.
He shuts up, doesn't he?
And he is invested in the team and he does care. Like Brian Hell, when he come off today, he ran off the pitch.
The difference.
Like, let's go.
Yeah.
The other 2, Dele Alli and Tunga Ndombele, they are not invested in the team. And I'd almost expect saying that about Tunga Ndombele because he never really seemed to have been invested in the team. But with Dele Alli, this guy went to a Champions League final. This guy went to close to winning titles with Tottenham, right? He's been in semi-finals and finals. He played a wonderful ball through to Lucas Mora in Ajax in the semi-final. He's been involved in some outstanding Tottenham moments that we love. So I don't get why he isn't invested or has an attitude like Winky to go, right, okay, I'm gonna try and get back in the side. I'm gonna try and win myself back. Do you get what I mean, Rick?
Absolutely. And Joe, I've got to say for Harry Winks, who's someone on this show again, has been given a lot of criticism. I'm so proud of him and pleased for him because, listen, he's a Spurs boy. The club means a lot to him. And I think it would have been devastating for him to have to consider weighing up leaving the football club. So the way he's come back and responded, full credit to him. That isn't easy. We are, as a fan base, we are expectant. We are demanding. We have waited so long. We've been patient with players. Dele Alli, one of the most, let's be honest, over those last couple of years and some of the performances we've seen, we put it down to Mourinho, we put it down to the fact that he's been played out of position. We've all wanted and championed players to do well here. I remember Soldado, even Adebayor. We're clapping players that are making an effort. So as a fan base, I think we're one of the most patient fan bases out there. So all you want in return for that is effort and commitment and 100%. And with Ndombele today, we are going to come on to my promise in a bit more detail. It was utter selfishness when you're losing a game 1-0 and you see the difference between Brian Hill, who sprinted, like you said, Lee, sprinted off the pitch, and Ndombele is all about himself as a character, not about the team. And again, I think with Tottenham, we have to bring in team players. It's about people that want to be fighting for the cause.
But Rick, just on that, and sorry to interrupt again, but just on that, he's not. You say it's doing it for himself, right? But he's not doing himself any favours.
But he can't see that, Lee. But he can't mentally see that. He can't see that.
No, he can't.
Yeah.
And this is a major problem.
It's tunnel vision.
What coach in the world today is looking at Ndombele and going, "Yeah, I fancy him. I'm going to sign him." And what coach is doing that when you see what he's doing today? Tottenham fans are very demanding and we have high expectations. And the reason for that is not because we got trophies coming in the cabinet. It's exactly the opposite. It's because we are starved for success. We are absolutely desperate and starving for success at this football club. So the very, very basic requirement is that you run and that you put an effort in and you give your heart and soul for the badge that you're wearing of this great club. And when you don't do that, regardless of how much money you're being paid or how much we pay for you or not, you're gonna get wrath from us, from the fans, because it is not good enough. You cannot do that. And somebody like Emerson, and we've had our banter on with Emerson on the group as well. Who's lots of people are writing him off, and maybe he's not going to be good enough.
It's coming today. And made a difference. And again, made a difference. He's been on the field for a couple of minutes. He made a difference
today. But
that's what you want.
Given something.
A response.
Ndombele has been in his football club for 2.5 years, and he's given.
Do you know how much money?
Nothing.
Do you know how much money he's got from his contract? Apparently, it's about 26 million, something like that. Because of his 200 grand a week, 26 million. That's how much he's pocketed.
Rob, you know what? Hearing that, it makes you sick. It does make you sick. Rich, before we go for a first break of the show, Rich, just a question we've had in from Chris Whaleyman 2022 who says 3-5-2 we used against Liverpool has been the best creation tactic we have. And clearly the second team cannot run with Conte's preferred setup. So why does he keep on using it and not the one that has worked? What's your thoughts on that question there?
Well, because Conte has his way. Conte's the manager and he's going to play Conte's way. So now I think it's a bit of a message to the board. This is what I want to play. This is what you're giving me to play with. They can't play it. So, on your bike, and you better go and get me some players that can, because this is what wins me stuff. He'd come into Chelsea, but were 14th, 15th, and then turned them around 3-5-2, and they won the title the next season. It works. Conte works. He's proven. So that's his system. He can't start, keep cutting your cloth accordingly to accommodate some of these players that are just simply too bobrick. They're just not good enough, or just don't care enough, or a mixture of both. So carry on. This is Conte's world, and we've all got to get on living in it. It's as simple as that. So over to you, Daniel. Over to you, Donna. Over to you, the board. Because you wanted Conte. This is the way he's going to play it. This is his system. So shape up. Now you be Conte. You be boardroom Contes. You go and demand the best. You go and demand exactly what you want and strive and just be utterly intense and just be the best you can ever be. And that's what Conte is, isn't it? He's just a serial world champion winner.
He won't stand for it.
Unproven. And he's got the T-shirts and the trophies to back it up. So now everybody within the club better shape up and start to stepping up to his levels. And those players that can't play in 3-5-2, see you later. And the board, if they have to take a hit on them, so be it. That's what they're going to have to do. It's as simple as that. Like I've been saying to you, Rick, in past shows. The problem isn't buying players in windows; it's now moving them on.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's the big problem. That's the big problem.
Yeah, and we know that unfortunately with Tottenham. But we are going to go for our first break of the show. For our listeners that are on audio, you're going to hear from Antonio Conte and from Harry Winks, who insists that he did mean that goal earlier today. For our watching on YouTube, nearly over 800 of you watching us live. Listen, thank you so much for your incredible support. And that's on the back of an evening where, Spurs have gone through the FA Cup. Arsenal have gone out. Absolutely loving it. Josh Grabban, big fan of yours, my friend. Keep on doing what you're doing. And I must say again, we're supposed to be playing Brighton in the next round of the FA Cup. That time we played on or around the weekend of February the 5th. Right. We'll start, like I say, with the story of the game. Rob, we'll start with you because, listen, we're going to talk about one place and Morecambe going ahead. It was a good corner to the back post. O'Connor got there just ahead of Tanganga to volley home. I mean, Tanganga at the moment having a tough time, as Lee mentioned. Really poor for Chelsea. Want a reaction today. Got the opportunity to start. Just not out at the moment. Concerning, Rob, how we consider that opening goal?
Yeah, I think it's really concerning because we were saying just before we went live, it wasn't like a big sort of bullet header. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like a sort of like Van Dijk towering kind of, and it's like, oh, you can't keep that out. They happen. It was like this slightly loopy cross, and it just dropped. The guy just took it in front of him. There was so much space, and as you say with Tanganga as well, it kind of feels a bit like. Have you seen those rumours about like the Italian clubs kind of keeping an eye on him?
Yeah, sniffing around.
And you kind of think, you kind of keep watching him, and you kind of go. I hope the AC Milan weren't watching that, and we can maybe try and squeeze, 20 million euros out of him. But yeah, that corner wasn't great, was it?
No, it wasn't. I must say, Jaffa Tanganga's agent is Italian, Roberto De Fanzi. So, that might have some more substance to it than what we know with Jaffa Tanganga. But again, he's in the team today, so you wouldn't think a move is potentially close. Lee, on Tanganga, he just lost his man, didn't he, for Morecambe's opener? And I will say, after I thought he recovered okay, I'd say, in terms of his performance for the rest of the game. But, it's second game in a row where it's another high-profile mistake against a much more weaker opposition. Should we be concerned, Lee, about his long-term future at the club?
Yeah, I think so. Look, a few people have already put, I didn't get your name, so forgive me, but if you said something about Jaffa going out on loan, then I'm bigging you up. I think that's what Tanganga needs to do. I think he needs to go out on loan, very similar to Oliver Skipp. Skipp went away a boy and come back a man. And I think Jaffa Tanganga needs to go and play regular football. And, whether or not that's in, I mean, is there any interest, boss, from Milan? Any interest from Milan? I think we've heard that one before, haven't we?
So right, we've heard that a few times, haven't we?
Exactly. I'm not sure we're going to get that again. But look, maybe he needs to go out on loan. I'd like him. My personal preference would be, because he's one of our own, he goes out on loan, gets a load of experience, plays a load of games, comes back, and is a better player for it rather than selling him. But what I would say is he could easily go down the route of a Cameron Carter-Vickers, couldn't he? Where he plays a handful of games and then just literally is on loan for the rest of his career at Tottenham. And we don't want that either. So I do worry, Rick, for Jaffa. And he did recover well, and I think maybe in the second half. But the first half, I remember putting on the group every time he made mistakes. I wanted to kind of use my notes. He gave the ball away 4 times in succession, which were easy passes. It's not as if he was talking about them pings that Rob you mentioned earlier, or these lovely balls that were on, and it was a difficult pass. It was just literally a short pass into midfield, and it missed the target. And you think, wow. Okay, this is, he's not having a very good game off the back of the Chelsea game as well. So you're putting 2 games back to back. Maybe it's a confidence thing. We've seen him have brilliant games. I thought he was outstanding against Manchester City at the first game of the season.
He was incredible. He was
really
indeed.
He set the tone for the game at gunning, crunching challenges. I like his aggressiveness. I didn't feel he was aggressive enough today, for example, in his play. And I think maybe he's a little bit. He wasn't as assertive as what he should be in that position, and maybe that's one of the reasons why he it just felt panicked. It felt panicked against Chelsea, the whole back line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Panicked again today. Like that classic panic Tottenham. Like you're thinking, oh no, what should I do with the ball? Like hot
Yeah,
potato.
yeah,
Like,
hot potato. Yeah.
It was
Do
just,
you think Tanganga's good enough to play the ball out from the back? Because that kind of seems to be. He seems really good like against City, where he's like kind of a defensive fullback, just like bullying a guy. But then when it's like, right, you got to go up and have a bit of responsibility on the ball, he does look a little bit deer in headlights, doesn't he?
You know, I'm not sure, Rob, if this formation suits Tanganga. And again, I know people talk about a loan. I mean, what I would say, Rich, coming over to you, is that, you know, if we're playing him on the right side, I mean, listen, Carl Walker-Peters done excellently well, as we've seen at Southampton. Now his value's gone up massively. You don't want to make a mistake in terms of letting him go and him becoming a top defender. Maybe a loan does suit his purpose. I mean, Kev on the screen there says, look, spot on, Rob. Like I said, he can't play in a free. Rich, question we've had on here from Eddie Gomez, 83, says, what does the future hold for Tanganga? Didn't do himself any favours today, and he just seems out of place at the moment in the team. Bearing in mind also that mistake against Chelsea. Are you concerned, Rich, long-term about Tanganga?
I think he's another one of these players that's been weighed down by such a brilliant debut against Liverpool, like Bergwijn was with City. You know, you get these players, and this is a problem we have in today's society, football, if you like, as well. You have one great game and you're a world beater, and you have one terrible game and you're a panel beater. It's, you know, you're either all or nothing. It's black and white. There's no grey. So, you know, he's young still. He is young. He's going to have dips and peaks and dips and peaks. So, but he definitely needs a loan out. But he needs a loan to somewhere that's going to nurture him, because it worked brilliantly well for Skippy. Hasn't worked so well the loan for other players. You know, Sessignon wasn't a great loan out. Skips was. So if we can find him the right club to go to on loan to try and develop him, you know, in the right way, in defensive, need to be very, very careful. But he's definitely somebody we don't want to let go too easily. You know, he desperately needs that another year on loan somewhere in the Championship, maybe, just to build him up, just to give him that little bit more time, and then look at him from now. So he's certainly not top of our priority problem list at the moment of things that need dealing with, but that's a long old list, Rick. That really is a big list.
And when you watch games like today, Rich, it looks like it's growing, doesn't it, as well? That's the worry.
Yeah. I mean, if we put our problems list on CFAX, you'd be waiting 5 minutes for his page with Tanganga to come round, wouldn't you? You know, he is page 4 or 5 on our problems list on CFAX. I think you're breaking the remote
trying to keep going on the down button.
But a loan, Rick, definitely a loan out, and see where he goes from now.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. I think Italy as well wouldn't be a bad place for him to go. I think he learned his trade in Italy. It's a great place to go and learn your football, learn your trade. AC Milan would be a great club.
Stick him in at Juve alongside Chiellini. Let's see what he does with him.
Can't we sign Chiellini and just keep him?
A little swap deal.
We just do a swap. Aldi has 75. We'll take him.
He's still going, mate. Still going.
Oh man, right.
Just quickly on that though. Just quickly on that as well. Like with the loan system, and it is about trust, isn't it? It's about like, can you play in the system, and can I trust you to play in that system? And when you're called upon, can I trust you to be able to fill in a gap? And with the greatest respect to Japhet Tanganga and the development of where he's at, he's not a number one choice as a right-sided centre-back. No. We all know when the squad is fit, even, you know, if he's looking at being the right-sided centre-back, he's third in the pecking order, isn't he? Because you've got Davinson Sanchez in front of him, and then you've got Romero when he comes back, right? So he's your number one in that position. So, you know, when you're looking at Japhet and his development, it's can he be trusted when he's asked to be stepped up, when he's been asked to step up, and at the moment, he's showing that he can't. At the moment, he still needs to be able to, and that's why I'm saying go out, develop, loan. I agree with Crackers, get some experience under his belt, so then he can be trusted. Because at the moment, that pecking order is pretty simple. If they're all fit, you got Romero, and then if he drops out, you got Sanchez, and then if he drops out, then you'd use Japhet, wouldn't you? And actually, there is an argument with everybody talking about Emerson not being able to play right wing back and getting in a new right wing back. Emerson could actually drop in as that right-sided centre back, couldn't he?
That's also potential.
As a backup, right?
Yeah.
So you know, Japhet is all of a sudden gone from playing a brilliant game against Man City and snubbing a loan to Turkey, for my understanding. I think
Yeah,
that
no,
was
you're
on-
right.
up
Yeah,
in
from what we
cards.
understand, he snubbed that loan.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. To now being almost third, maybe even fourth choice on that right hand side.
Yeah, a player I do want to come on to, coming over to you, Rob, is Joe Rhoden, a player that many were, hoping he was going to get minutes. They've been championing the fact that Rhoden hasn't been in the team. Where's he been? What is he given an opportunity today? Yes, he was carrying a bit of a rib injury from what we understand, but I've got to say, being at the game, his body language to me at first, I've looked completely off. He looked frustrated, he looked angry, almost like he was being put on show. And thinking, why am I playing here? But, ultimately with Conte, you've got to earn your right, got to earn that respect to get the minutes. What do you think for you, Rob, about Joe Rhoden? Is he a player you'd be looking to move on in this window, or do you think, does he need more minutes?
I'd potentially move him on, to be honest. I think he's one of those players I think he benefits from where, like, people just get a thing inside their head and they're like, oh, actually, maybe he's quite good. And then the more he didn't play, he kind of gets better and better with every game that he doesn't play. And like, but back before Dyer became, the greatest centre back that's ever played football. Every time Dyer had a mistake, everyone would be like, "Oh, Joe Rhoden wouldn't do that. Why is Joe Rhoden not getting game time?" And then I almost think it's a bit like, I think there's a reason a lot of managers now haven't really gone with him. And if you actually look at it, he's sort of from the Championship. Has he ever really kind of like? I think he did okay on his debut against Chelsea. Like, what's that? A good year ago now.
Yep, at the Bridge 0-0. Yep.
Yeah, and even then, if he's meant to be Dyer's backup, does he have the passing game to do that? I don't really know.
Yeah,
Is he just another one who you'd slot in on right centre back, and then he's he's in that queue of right centre backs we got? So I don't know. How much money would you get for him though? Do you think you could like ship him off to like a Burnley for like 10 million or something?
This is mad. I mean, I know Wales think so much of him. I know they really do. I mean, Rich, it's one of those interesting ones with Rhoden because there'll be many out there saying he hasn't had regular game time. Then there'll be some out there saying when he has played, he's just not looked that great. And again, I made this point on the last show. He's had Mourinho, Conte. He's had Mason as well, I think, for a period. Conte and Mourinho. Whatever you think about Mourinho.
Nuno there, Rick.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
remember him.
No offense, Nuno. I completely forgot about him.
Yeah, exactly. I think most of us
I've been
do.
so right in this deal. I've almost blotted Nuno out of Tottenham's history and out of my mind. I completely forgot we used to do a podcast about Nuno's Tottenham. God, was that what it was like? All right, cheers for the reminder. Rich, honestly though, with regards to who I'm talking about here, Rhoden, he's played under Mourinho and now Conte. Now, Mourinho, whatever you think about Mourinho, he was at a time one of the best managers in the world, one of the best defensive coaches in the world. He never fancied him. And now you look at Conte and he didn't seem to fancy him either. There's surely got to be a reason for this. They watch him all day in every day in training. There's a reason why he isn't getting fancied, surely.
Well, you have to look at today, and you can clearly see why he isn't fancied. So football's a cruel old game, and he's just not got in his locker. It's as simple as that. He came in, looked okay, made a couple of mistakes, but now, Rick, he didn't look like he was at it today. He didn't look like he actually really wanted to enforce himself into the team or try to or impress. So I don't know. It's just not there. It's just not there. So like quite a few other players in that side, we've just got to be hard, Rick. Now it's unsentimental, hard, and just get rid of some of these players that are drawing a wage. I mean, there's maybe 3 or 4 players, fringe players like Rhoden, that if you combine together, you've probably got like a decent wage for one decent player. So these 3-4 peripheral players that just never really seem to come in, get rid of them and just bring in one decent player on a decent wage. You hope, that's well scouted this time and looked at for their attitude and as what they're like as people, and just clear the decks a little bit. You'd probably be better off with 22, 23 really decent players than 28, 29 with a load of flotsam and jetsam making up that last 5 or 6 players. So nothing from him today that makes me think, maybe he's still being unlucky to not get game time here.
Yeah, I mean,
is there any interest in him? Do we know? Like,
I think only on
inquiries or-
loan. We're only seen on loan.
okay.
You know, that's one of the things we've probably seen. I will say, even on the screen, that makes a point. He has had a rib injury, so you know, maybe caution a little bit. But I mean, again, you'd think that he's not been selected. He can't play.
You'll know this better than most, obviously, with the transfer guru and Jamie at Daily Hotspur being transfer gurus and stuff. But you know, the loan market is going to be massive in January.
Yes, Newcastle, I think, are keen on him.
Anyway.
Newcastle are keen on him. Yeah.
Just listening to everybody talk about Rhoden and looking at some comments, I don't think he's a bad player. I actually think that someone made the point, you know, the dross that we've had, he at least give him a chance. The problem with us now, and especially under Conte, is we haven't got time to give people a chance. Like we all expect, everybody watching this, everybody listening to this expects us to go and batter Morecambe. Everybody expects us to be already at the level of Chelsea, in which we found out last week clearly that we're not. You know, so we do, regardless of, you know, you can argue with me if you want, at Lee McQueen, I don't mind. But deep down, you expect us to be higher than where we are, right? There's always something that's not good enough, or there's always something that we're not good enough for. You know, we expect to beat Watford, and everyone's up in arms when we only beat them 1-0, but we beat them. But everyone expects. You see what I mean? So I don't think Rhoden's a bad player, and actually I think a loan to somewhere like, I'm just throwing this out there, hopefully it becomes speculation, transfer news, who knows? But maybe go to Brighton. Right, you know, they haven't replaced.
I agree. Maybe under Potter.
Ben White, who's got 50 million for. Maybe a Rhoden going to Brighton would actually suit that system, playing in that way. And even if it's a loan, that would be a fantastic situation for us having him back. And even if we go and then sell him on in a year's time or in 6 months' time, maybe we end up getting 20 million, you know, for Joe. And Joe needs to play football. Like
he needs game time. Of course, he needs game time. Yeah,
and he's just rotting. Isn't he, at Tottenham? None of fans, well, say none of fans, a lot of the fans don't rate him or don't think he's been given the right opportunity. 3 or 4 managers, you just said, they don't fancy him. He's sitting there just rotting away going, where's my career going? Go away and find a different club and go, you know, and almost resurrect it. I mean, he's only a youngster, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think that works 2 ways as well, Rhoden. We've got to also let him go. And I think the problem with Rhoden has got as well is that, you know, we've seen with Dyer recently, with an injury and whatever he's had as well in terms of, you know, medical and health. Conte said he is the man that is going to replace Dyer if he's not in the team. And therefore, I think with Tottenham as well, that's an option. That's an option. No,
but he did,
Rick,
he
there's a few points in the comments, people saying, oh, you know, take it a bit easy on Rhoden. He didn't make any mistakes today, and Galini served him up. The attitude, you know what? That's true, but then he also didn't tear it up either. That's what I'm saying. So he hasn't made any mistakes, but he's done okay. But okay is not good enough. You've got to, like, you know, you've got to do you can't just be a defender anymore. You've got to be able to defend, then bring a ball out, and then ping something 30 yards diagonal, or make a bit of a killer pass, or get yourself up 30, 40 yards up the pitch. So, you know, just that reaching par isn't good enough. You have got to do something a little bit different, a little bit special. You've got to be a little bit more Ledley King, if you like, you know, not only just a defender, but somebody who's going to come up and nick you a goal with an header from a corner, or block a shot and then bring you out 20 yards, or see that killer pass into midfield. So I'm just not seeing that from Rhoden. He didn't do terrible today.
No, he didn't. No.
But he didn't pull trees up either. That's the problem. We've got too many of those that just sit in that comfort zone.
Yeah, I understand it's difficult.
League One opposition as well. Sorry, Rick, but again, just to underline your point, Crackers, League One opposition today, he should have been stepping up and saying, I'm having some of this. And he didn't do that either. He didn't make loads of mistakes, but he didn't step up and do that either.
I know many are thinking, if we're talking about Rhoden like this, what's happening with Ndombele? It's coming very soon, I promise. Ben Davis, to be fair to Ben, didn't have to do much today. He did what he had to do and was absolutely fine. Matt Doherty, again, listen, he switched him in the second half, and we had like the fullbacks on the opposite sides.
He's done that a couple of times. I just wanted to raise that actually as a question to you lads and the listeners and the viewers. And this is Conte, so I'm not questioning Conte, right? He's amazing. But why would you do that? Like invert the fullbacks. because it was so tight anyway. The amount of red shirts that we had in the middle of the park, it was so condensed. Yet by coming in and inverting them and coming to cross on their actual foot, it made the play even more like there wasn't. I just didn't understand it as a tactic. You could say it worked. But I
just think maybe to change it up. I mean, listen, we wasn't getting much joy in terms of getting in behind them, really. I mean, that's maybe an argument. Again, okay from Doherty, if we're being honest. Sessegnon, I think, again, the first half, I don't think it really worked for him. I think he got much more joy in the second half, but he's another player in Sessegnon that will feature a lot. Or I think with regular game time, I think it will come on a lot. And I honestly think when you've got Sessegnon at peak performance, I think he's going to give Reguilon a real run for his money. I really, really do on the left side. And it's just keeping him fit, isn't it, with Sessegnon? It is just keeping him fit. I would love to give more time to these players, but listen,
have you noticed how many times we're saying he done okay? So.
It's League One. It's League One.
Okay's not good enough anymore, Rick, and everyone. It's just not good enough. You've got to be a little bit more than okay. It simply isn't good enough. You can't be okay under Conte. You can't be okay to win cups and get into Champions League and to do stuff. Okay, it just isn't good enough. Well, since when to dare is to okay. So when was that our motto? It just isn't, Or dare est okayeth. It's just like it's not a thing, is it? It's not a thing.
I think the thing is with Sessegnon, and I'm not quite sure how I can explain. Thank you, Matthew. I can't quite understand how I can explain why. But I'm with you, Rick. Like I think there's so much more to come from Sessegnon.
I totally agree. There's something there.
He's got it in there, and I can't. But actually, if you put a Tottenham shirt on him and go right, okay, just to analyse him in the Tottenham shirt. He scored against Bayern Munich, which was a brilliant goal, by the way. And that was it. What else has he actually done in the Spurs for me to make that analysis?
I'm the same as you, Lee. There's something there, Rob. I don't know if you agree with Sessegnon.
I actually really like it. I thought he was a bit unlucky in the first half because I think he actually put a couple of decent balls in, but I think because we were playing with no striker, there was no one running into there was a good one. And he put it, and there was no one running in across the first man. And had there actually been a striker there making that run, it could be an assist and a goal. I think he kind of, I like him. I said when Conte came in, I said I think by the end of the season, if he stays fit, he'll be the starting left wing back. It's the perfect position for him. It's where he got all those goals and assists for Fulham. And then also I just think he looks a bit hesitant at times. I don't think he's fully got his confidence up and running, and he kind of looks a bit like, oh, shall I go for it? Oh, no, I'll play the safe pass, as opposed to just sometimes just pin your ears. But he had that nice little run, didn't he, in the first half? Do that more. Just try it.
The thing is, the problem that we've got as a football club at the moment in this January transfer window, right? And there's a player that I've been banging on about in the group for a good year maybe now, and that's Lucas Digne. And he wants to leave Everton. Now, he would be absolutely brilliant signing for Tottenham as a left wing back. Absolutely superb.
He's gone to Villa, apparently.
And advanced Villa now, aren't they? Yeah, advanced Villa.
He's got the most assists behind Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson, who are literally the blueprint, aren't they, for fullbacks? Most assists over the last 2 seasons behind them. And he would be brilliant in a Tottenham shirt, I think, in this team. But the problem that we've got is that we've actually got Reggie, who a lot of people like and think is going to come on quite well. And we've just said the same about Sess as well. So that position is almost like, look, there's other positions that we need to purchase before we go and get another left wing back. But Lucas Digne, and I think you're right, Rob, I think he's going to Aston Villa. I think he's already gone or whatever. But we're not in for them sorts of players because we think that we've got 2 done already. Does that make sense?
I hear you.
If he was on the right side, if we had the issues that we've got at the moment on the right, on the left, I think we'd be signing Lucas. Personally.
I think it's like that. It's that CFAX problem, isn't it? Where you kind of go, do you know what? It's a bit like in fantasy football when you've got 5 players you want to get rid of. Yeah. And there's 1 or 2 players that just you never seem to transfer out because there's always a more pressing issue. I kind of feel a little bit like that's it, where those 2 good but not great at the moment. But we've got a few other areas where it's absolute clangers. So they just sort of, it's like a Digne I can't see it happening, because even before Villa came in, because it's 20 million that, actually we probably need another striker. That's where the 20 million should go. We need a creative midfielder, and we've maybe got a few more pressing issues at hand, sadly.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, listen, we have come to that time. Now, we did wait until after the watershed for the people that are in the UK here, because, listen, we're going to talk about a player now that, to be fair, we're going for nearly 55 minutes. That's about as long as he's done the Spurs shirt over the course of the last 6 months. So it is that time to have this discussion. Now, we will say before we had that chat, there was a massive cheer going up from the crowd, and I was one of those cheering. We saw Lucas, Kane and Skip warming up to come on and replace Ndombele, Dele, Hill. And I just want to set the scene here in terms of what we saw. So when those substitutions went up, we saw Hill absolutely sprint off the pitch, right? Sprint. We then saw Dele number go up and Ndombele. And I think Dele was getting the message, kind of hurry up. But Ndombele, if he was walking any slower, he would have been going backwards. I kid you not. If you have not seen the highlights yet, or you haven't had a chance to see it, when you watch it, you will beggars belief. That's all I can say.
Was he doing it on purpose, do you think?
Do you know what? Part of me, Rob, and I think with Ndombele, let's start with you, Rob, because for me, Ndombele is one of those players that I think he's so focused on himself that he forgets about the ethic of the team. And this is what I think Conte has said about Ndombele, that he needs to buy into what the team's concept is. And, unless you do that, you're not really part of any team. There's this tunnel vision about Ndombele that he thinks he's going to be going to Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. No, mate, you're not going to Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. Because you know what? Not only do you have this skill, you've got to have the hard work, you've got the determination, you've got to work every day your backside off in training. You can't do 60 minutes of a game. And it is embarrassing that as a player we signed, as our club record signing, after 4 years, we are still trying to get him fit enough to last 90 and a bit minutes. And I won't hold back here. I've been one of his biggest supporters. I have wanted him to come on and prove, the likes of Jason McGovern, who Jason, I know from day one was, although he loved us signing him, Jason, had massive reservations. I've been one of his biggest supporters in Ndombele. But there's only so much you can support a player and be patient and be tolerant and wait and wait and wait. And my tolerance is gone. And it's so hard for me because he's such an incredible player. But, Rob, you just can't do that today. You cannot do that to your teammates and can't make it all about you. And even worse, go down the dressing room, go down by yourself, not even support your teammates on the bench. For me, it's unacceptable. And I can't see a way back from him personally for me. I don't know what you think, Rob.
Yeah, no, I think he's done. I don't see how it was a double whammy, wasn't it? Because it was, first of all, it was the performance. I thought he looked like he was hungover on Sunday League. Do you know when you get like that guy who rocks up, who's still a bit like, he's a bit pissed in the first 10 minutes, and he's like what's going? He was just wandering around, and you kind of thought, you were like, you are so much better than every other player on this pitch in terms of technique and skill. Like, this should be for you against League One. This should be like playing FIFA on easy. You should just be like going out there doing like when you hold down the skills button on FIFA, going mad. And he just couldn't be bothered. And he just was wandering around. And you kind of say, I think that's the big thing with him. I mean, before you even get into the big showpiece thing of walking down the tunnel, which it's like, I don't know what he was trying to achieve for that. Because that's usually what what you do when it's like you're being mugged off by a manager and you figure you should be getting more game time. And then you've gone out and you've played really well and they sub you off early. You storm down the tunnel. Not when you've turned up, you've done nothing and the crowd are booing you. Yeah. And then you walk off. It's like a sulky kid. But my big thing is like for him, when it was like he was going to move in the summer, it was a bit like you kind of thought a manager would say to him, well, look, mate, if you want to go, the best way of us getting you out here is getting you fit, you playing well, so you're in the shop window, and then we can all shake hands, get you out of here, get you down the Nou Camp or whatever. And I don't quite understand what his end game is. What does he want to happen? Does he? Because no one's going to have watched that and gone, we'll take on his 1 million every 5 weeks we've got to pay him or whatever it is. Like, it blows my mind. I don't know what he's hoping for.
I must say, I know many people were saying in the comments, the due diligence. Where was that due diligence? And I know it was under Pochettino's reign that we made that signing. And many people say this. That window. I know Jason McGovern has called it one of our worst ever transfer windows. When you think about what we paid, what we spent in that window on Ndombele, Lo Celso, was it Jack Clark, Sessegnon, who may come good, but it's just beggars belief, how the due diligence of that window and how it's affected us. Lee, I'm going to come to you, but before I do, and also we've had millions and millions of comments. I must say, out of the 50 plus listener questions we had, over 30 were Ndombele based. So I'm going to give a flavour of what we've had in here. Dan Timbrell says, who is taking Ndombele to the airport? B. Ray Handel says, hasn't Ndombele made it off the pitch yet? Phil Loveday says, lackluster from Ndombele in a game mode for him to demonstrate his quality. Surely Conte has given him enough opportunities and has seen enough now. Surely he has to go. Does Tsungi have to go? Says Aya Lender, even if we can't find a buyer. And Dale James Eaton says, this shows that we have players that need to go. Drew Walton again makes that point. Did the club know about Ndombele's attitude before we signed him? Jay Cat says, can we just all agree Ndombele has to go? Now, for our listeners on audio, we're going to play the clip that Conte actually commented on there on Ndombele after the game. And like I say, we've just heard that now for our listeners on audio, and we're just going to reflect on that now because coming around to you, Rich, one of the points from Conte in that presser was him saying that for him, you've got to accept it when fans are not pleased with your performance. There's going to be criticism there. But do you just think of Ndombele? It's all about him. It's just all about him as an individual, and there's nothing about the team. There's nothing about the ethic of, pulling together. From day one, it feels like all he's tried to do is use Spurs, I think, as a stepping stone to bigger things. Every summer, every window, he wants to leave. We can't have a situation like this. It's meant to be the club record signing.
I'll caveat what I think on Ndombele just by saying, let's presume that there's nothing going on with him physically or mentally, because I do remember when we all gave Dean Richards, God rest his soul, a load of stick for missing headers and everything going on when the poor sod was actually dying of a brain tumour, and we gave him so much stick. So let's presume there isn't anything going on like that with Ndombele. If there is, then that's something that may come up in time. I don't know, but I'm going to presume that there isn't, because there's a long history of this with Ndombele, and currently I dislike him more than I dislike Saka at Arsenal, who I think is a great kid, right? Grade A student, speaks beautifully, loves his mum, still lives at home, really good, grounded young footballer. And I like him and admire him more than one of my own players. That tells you everything. When you're liking Arsenal players more than one of your own players, you're in the madhouse, Rick. You're absolutely in the madhouse. And that today was it was disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting. And do you know what I do with Ndombele? Not only is he letting the club down, it's letting himself down as a footballer.
As an individual.
That's the terrible thing. Do you see how many kids a year want to become footballers? Yes. So many boys and girls want to become professional footballers. Some of them, millions of them, don't make it to academies. And then all those hundreds that do make it to academies, 95% of those get let go and never become footballers. So they get that far away from it, and then they get called into an office and they go, I'm really sorry, we can't offer you a contract. And they fall by the wayside and never, ever make it in football. There you go. There's 3% of you for 3%. Thank you, Philip, of academy footballers. You're that close to getting your dream, and 97% of those go. I'd make Ndombele sit in on those meetings for a day when they're letting the kids go from the academy and see them come out sobbing their hearts out. They sob their hearts out, Rick. I've seen
it's their life. It's their life. It's what they want to do. It's their life.
And there he is. Like, not only is he good enough, he has actually got it on 200 grand a week. It's disgusting. It's the way he's letting himself down, let alone the club. And it's just, honestly, it's horrible to see. He's toxic. You could see the way Harry was mouthing to him, get off.
And Tanganga and Jaffet.
And Jaffet were telling him to get off. I would ship him out the door for Nish, because there's some vain idiot of a manager or a club out there that thinks they can get a tune out of him.
There'll be an ego out there, Rich. There'll be an ego out there, like you just said there, Rich. That'll believe they can get out of him.
Exactly. So do you know what? give him his contract, give him his license, give him his registration, and go, see you later. I think it'd be a massive statement from the club. Don't care you were 60 million quid out the door. And when he goes out, the next person I'd have in would be whoever signed him, because he'd done this at Lyon as well, and sit down and say to them, tell me why you signed him. What due diligence and process did you go through to spend 60 million pounds of this club's money and 200 grand a week on that? And if you don't come up with, like, you know, some answers to that, Lee's been through this process. You're getting, well, in fact, Lee, you didn't. You never got that finger pointed at you off of Lord Sugar, did you? Because you went and won it. So, but you've been in that ballroom. You felt that heat. And this is exactly what somebody should be feeling. Whether, I don't know if that was Hitchin or whether Poch like went in and banged on Levy's door and says, I really must have him. But honestly, people should be answering questions on this. So, but shame on you, Ndembele, for wasting what millions and millions of kids like dream of their whole life and never get.
Lee, I know you've had a chance there to kind of hear everybody else, and I did come to you last because I think we're all in anticipation of what you're going to say, how you're going to say it. Can you believe it, Lee? I mean, can you believe just what we're seeing?
I can't believe it, mate. Look, I'll be honest with you. You can have all the talent in the world, right? All the talent in the world, but hard work trumps it every time. You know, I won't go into a massive narrative, but I will share a personal thing. I grew up in a council house. My dad's a milkman for 42 years. Yeah. Like I left school with 0 qualifications. Like I had 1 C grade GCSE. But I had nothing like in terms of intelligence, nothing like that. But I worked hard. I bought my first house when I was 18 years old, and I worked my nuts off 7 days a week, two jobs, and worked. I've set up 3 businesses. I won The Apprentice. I live in a big house now, and you know I've got a house in Spain, and blah blah blah, because I worked my effing nuts off for it. And that's what you have to do. The minimum requirement to be successful, and I'm not even successful. I'm just like work in progress, right? I'm still trying to be as successful as I can be. Yeah. I just don't see any of that attitude in Ndombele at all. You know, and you don't have to be a professional footballer to look at that and make them comparisons. I've been in recruitment for 20 years. I've recruited people at all different levels. I run a company called Phoenix 51 that analyzes competencies and behaviors for individuals coming into football clubs, coming into businesses, coming into new organizations. And I can guarantee you now, the reason why most permanent people fail, people that are hired on a permanent basis fail, is because they don't have the right values, they don't have the right culture, they don't have the right behaviors to work in that environment. Are you with me? Right? That's one of the number one reasons why they fail. And Chinga Ndombele has not got the right values or culture or personality, behaviors to work for Tottenham Hotspur. He hasn't got it. He hasn't got that thing. And he might have talent. And one of the comments earlier, you know, has he got the talent? Is he good enough? Well, no, he's not, because he has not ever done it. He might be able to do flicks and tricks. He might be able to be, a street footballer or whatever, freestyle street footballer and all that, and do 5,000 kick-ups. But he can't do it against, any team in the Premier League. He hasn't done it. A brilliant goal against Sheffield United. We thought he's back. He's going to do it. He's never done it. I've got quotes here from Jose Mourinho last year. This is over a year ago. And he's saying, his fitness isn't right. He's not right. I've got comments on my other screen now. Over a year ago, 18 months ago, we're still saying the same thing. Every single time we are looking at this guy and we're thinking he could be a baller, the only thing that he's going to be is out the door, because he cannot wear that Tottenham shirt again for me. What he did today was utter disrespect, disdain for the people that ultimately pay his wages. And that's not contrary to what all the reports are. That's not ENIC that pays wages. It's fucking us. And I'm sorry, it's out of order. He shouldn't, excuse me for swearing, but he's got me here. He should not be on that football pitch regardless. And the message it is sending out to the rest of the team, to the rest of the dressing room, when he still rocks up whenever he wants with a large milkshake in his hand, and then expects to get on the pitch and play, not having it. He's got to go. He's got to go. The attitude's wrong. The behaviour is wrong. The fit is wrong. he might have talent. We'll never see it in the Tottenham shirt. So the problem that we've got now is getting rid of him, cutting that wage bill down. What you said earlier, 26 million he's already taken from him. It's ridiculous. The guy's stealing a living.
Yeah.
And what can we do about it?
Yeah, I must say, Jason on the screen there says, on the plus side, we've only got 35.4 million to pay him some of his wages before the end of his contract.
Oh, let him go, Rick. Just let him go.
But Rich,
give him his registration.
Rich,
It's 35
Rich,
million
will we find
quid
a buyer? Rich, honestly though, but hand on
Someone
heart,
will take him for nothing. Someone will take him.
Would you honestly then? So are
nothing.
you saying you would give him away this window for nothing?
I'd give him away. And I think that would make a massive statement as well to every other player. If you think you're going to come here and behave like that, think again. Because you're just not. It's not happening. I'd just make him a free agent. Say, there you go. You're done. Out the door. See you later. Like,
do a deal with the rest of his.
Yeah, well, I'd have to do a deal on them. But just get him out the door. Because giving him 35 million quid just to sit on the bench, we might as well give him 25. And at least you're freeing up 10 million quid of it and getting somebody with this toxicity out of the club. He's toxic.
You wonder that kind of character, what that does to the rest of the change room of the players that want to wait.
You start paying different wages. We've seen this with them lot down the road from South London when they did this with Aubameyang recently. They did it before. They did it with
Özil.
Yeah, and we've got one now with Ndombele. We were, had the ability to move players on, and everybody would come out and say like, we're a selling club and this, that, and the other. And now we keep our players, and now we can't get rid of them. Yeah,
this is half the problem as well. You've got to have the right time. This is the essence of recruitment, as you know, Lee. I don't need to patronise you on this. The essence of the right recruitment in football is knowing, and Alex Ferguson was brilliant at this, knowing the right time when to move a player on, even if they were world class or they were not quite right for the team. He always had that great ability of moving the players on. I mean, Rob, what would you do now with Ndombele? You feel today for me that was. I know he didn't do this. He didn't throw down the shirt like Hossam Ghali, if we remember those years ago. But to me, it's almost similar to that because it's a game we have to win. He's trudging off the pitch. He's only thinking about himself. Can you see a way back for him, Rob?
Well, even to the point of how, say, whenever training is, tomorrow, how does he go into training route? Have you seen that picture where it's him walking off and it's all the subs bench and Son is just looking at him, staring Romero's new, just looking at him like, who is this kid? Like, what is wrong with him? Yeah, and I don't even know, how does he turn back up at the club? Does he just walk in and train and be like, all right, lads, how we doing? I don't know. I don't know what you do. I don't know. But then, as you say, every week that goes by, it's 200 grand. So do you just cut your losses and go, right, send him out on loan? We'll pick up 50% of the wages, so at least we're saving a bit of money. But he can't play again, can he? He can't.
Well,
he can't.
We know from obviously friend of the show, Fabrizio Romano, that we're actively trying to move him on, which isn't no surprise. We knew this anyway, from the start of the window opening. But I just again question, Lee. Do you think he's going to be a Spurs player by the end of this January window? You feel after today, how can he even put on the shirt again?
Well, I think that there is a high probability that he will be a Spurs player or contracted to Spurs by the end of this transfer window because of all the comments and everything that Crackers and Rob have said and you've said, and people like Stephen Peters and Steve Paul and Gavin and Mike, all the people that have been tweeting me about this exact subject and all the 50 odd questions we've had in as well, Rick, which is why we're spending so much time on it. So the probability is that he probably will. I think that we won't get a lot of credit for it because we as fans look at the people that are coming in rather than the people going out. But I think Paratici and Conte, Steve Hitchin still involved. Their biggest job this transfer window is to get rid of Ndombele. I think that's actually harder than signing the likes of Vlahovic, for example. Yeah. We won't get a lot of credit. I mean, Paratici shipped out 13 players in the summer, and we forget that quite quickly.
No, he did very well to move players on. We can't forget that. It's hard. We know this players will go still. We know that. It's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy.
I mean, getting him out on loan or paying half his wages that Rob suggested make that as a possibility. But all of a sudden, I mean, that sounds so alien to me as a Tottenham fan. So all of a sudden, we're in a situation like Real Madrid are in with Bale, where we're paying half the wages for the loan. I'm thinking, Who's going to? No one in the Premier League will take Tunga and Dembele.
Not 100,000. Not even on 100,000. They wouldn't. No one would be crazy enough to.
No way.
Not with that attitude.
Football.
Yeah.
I mean,
it makes me laugh.
The only maybe clubs that you would look at is, again, maybe I'm overanalyzing. I'm not an expert on this, but I look at some of the ways, maybe La Liga is, or maybe the French league, right, where he came from. Maybe he suits that better. Maybe it's a slower league. It's a little bit more time on the ball. It's not as fast hustle and bustle as the Premier League. But we've got to be having conversations to move him on, because he can't stay with us.
No, it's a really difficult situation. And I know, again, what I will say is, Ndombele, he tried to make things happen today, but I think he gets so frustrated by himself in terms of it's all about him. As I've said earlier, not to sound like a broken record, that he forgets the essence of the team. And I know this is the one thing Conte actually criticised him for. And previously, and it's almost like that again is coming to fruition. So look, we'll have to wait and see. Conte said, for those that obviously didn't catch the audio clip, he says, I was so focused on the pitch. You have to be good to try and change your opinion. That's obviously of Ndombele and the fans' reaction. If someone's disappointing you, it's normal. Conte said, I was a player once. It happened to me sometimes that someone is unhappy with your performance. This is life. Now, again, making those 3 changes brought energy, desire, hunger to Spurs in terms of getting back into this game. And it ended up coming over to you, Rich, in a Harry Winks with a lovely curling free kick. Well, I must say, Winksy, if you heard it on the audio version there, says it was absolutely deliberate. It goes in to that top corner. And it was. Very similar to his goal against Ludogorets. And, again, I say, in terms of the midfield.
At least he learned from that Ludogorets one, Rick. He come out straight away and went, no, I didn't mean it. And everyone's
claim it.
Now he's come out and said, no, I definitely meant it.
Claim it.
They're working on them in training.
Listen, claim it if you can. I will say, Rich, one of the most improved Spurs players over the course of Conte's reign so far. And I'm really pleased for him. It's so funny. We talk about parallels here and comparisons. Look at Ndombele's attitude. Look at Harry Winks' attitude. We all would love Harry Winks to have maybe the ability of what Ndombele has as a footballer, but for the passion, for the commitment, for the desire, for a born Spurs boy that loves Tottenham at heart, and you can see Winks does. Aren't you so pleased, Rich, that he's turned his career around now and he finds himself now really knocking on the door of a first team spot? He's done that so well.
Oh, massively pleased, Rick. I want anybody that pulls that shirt on. I think sometimes people think we have agendas on these podcasts. It's like, you don't like him and now you've got to see it through. We're never doubling down. I love to sit here and go, how wrong was I about him? Even on Dembele, do you know, if he came out this week and he went, do you know what? I've had a bit of a stinker here and I'm going to promise you I'm going to try and turn this round and does, I would be absolutely delighted. Any player that can turn it round. I mean, Winksy don't live in a bubble. He would have seen what's been said about him on social media and everything. And there he is. He's gone, I'll show you, and put the effort in. Now, like you say, he's not got the talent of an Dembele, but what he has got, he's giving it everything. And you can't ask for any more than that. Mora's another player that divides opinion. But by Christ, does he always put a shift in? You always feel like he's trying his best. Sonny's been a bit off the ball, but he's never nothing but honest. I'll take 11 honest players, in that side, or 15 honest players over, these mercurial talents that just don't really give anything. That's all you ask is you just come and give the most that you can for yourself and for your club. That's all you ask. So I'm absolutely delighted to sit here and say, you know what, some of the stick I've given Winksy, I'm having it rammed back down my throat. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I want every player that I've ever served up on here and on Twitter and everywhere else to turn around and people come back to me and go, you look a bit of a mug now, Crackers, don't you? After saying what you used to say or retweeting me from a year ago. Oh, do you remember this you said about, what social media is like? If you've said it, it's there.
We've all been there.
Somebody will find something I've said about Winksy now and go, not so anti-Winksy now. And I always retweet it and go, yep, fair enough, well done. And I love it. I absolutely love it getting served back to me because it means somebody's come good and doing well for Tottenham. Isn't that what we're all in this for?
Absolutely. I mean, Rob, I'll say the same as what Richard said there. You know, I've been one of those that, I'll be honest, I was at a point where I thought Winks had reached that expiry at Tottenham where he maybe needs to go away, you know, maybe look for a change of scenery. But I've got to be honest and say to you, he's been phenomenal over the last 4 weeks, 6 weeks, you know, under Conte. He's almost been reborn. And I think, again, we have to bear in mind that this guy has gone through Jose Mourinho, and we know Mourinho has that habit of mentally breaking down players, and sometimes it takes a bit of time to get over that. And I think Winks now, to be fair to him, he's coming through that now. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. That will make him a better player. I'm not trying to patronise him. Going through that Mourinho experience will make him stronger and will make him, as a player, much more knowing of what his game is. Because now you see the confidence in him going forward, spraying the ball out. You know, it's like a different player now. And I'm going to hold my hands up. I've criticised him, but my God, do I love him seeing prove me wrong the same as Rich?
Yeah, I think, Jose's got a lot in this as well. I think, like, Jose reminds me of, it's like when you have a really bad breakup, and then like you get those people, and it's like those sort of Instagram quotes, and it's like, you can't learn to love again until you learn to love yourself. And it's a bit like Winks has been like that, where it's like
you've written one of them.
He's had no.
You've written one of them. You are that Instagram quoter.
That looked nice on your wall behind you, actually. A nice little frame. We could have that.
Yeah, we'll get out there.
Love.
I'll DM you on Insta later.
But yeah, and I also think tactically as well, Jose, where he just basically didn't play with the midfield, and it was just, you know, super quick ball up to Kane, lose the midfield on the break, and then so Winks just had, like, you know, no real instructions, lost all his confidence, was passing backwards and sideways all the time. And then I think this is where the old Conte handbook of, right, your role here is ball progression, is win the ball back and ball progression. And so it's like, you know, it's almost like his confidence or lack of can't get in the way, because he's been told by Conte, this is what you have to do, and he's doing it, and it suits his game, and he's kind of finding his feet again. And as you say, can you remember that press conference he gave? It was before or after Mora? I can't remember. And he looked like he was in tears.
Yeah,
he
no, you're right.
He was welling up, wasn't he? And you were like, God, this is hard to watch.
Yeah, I think there's an admittance there. I think, Rob, at that time where he just felt maybe he was done at Tottenham mentally. But
he said, "I don't know what's gone wrong," didn't he? And he just looked like this. He looked like sort of like a little boy or something. Just going, like, I don't know.
I'm sure that was Ludogorets. I'm sure that would have been Ludogorets. Scored the goal, got interviewed afterwards, and he was really emotional because I think there was an acceptance from Winks that maybe he would have had to move on. But listen, you know, full credit
from. More than that, Rick, I'm delighted to see him doing what he's doing. He's done that today against Morecambe. Now, you've got to kick on. Go and do it against Wolves and Man U and Everton, those around us. Then do that. And then go and do it at Man City. Go and do it at Liverpool. Go and do it at the Bridge. Go and do it at the Emirates.
Big games, of course.
But you know, you can't expect to go from there to there. But if you're doing that, you know, and you're just beginning to raise it up, that's what we've got to see. And do you know what? As much as he loves the club and as much as he's doubled down and put the effort in, if he can't do that, then he has to go, Rick, because there's no sentimentality in getting to the top. It really isn't. And if he can't make that step, this is how ruthless we've got to be now, Rick and everyone. You know, we want to make omelettes, you're cracking eggs. It's as simple as that. You have to do it. So, you know, if he makes it and gets up to that sort of level, brilliant. One of your own doing it. You love to see it, don't you? But if he can't, gone. See you later.
Well, I think you're right. In terms of the progression of Conte, you're right, Rich. It will get to that point where, for some of these players, it will just be a bit beyond them. But you're right in absolutely saying what you're saying there. There's absolutely no harm in being able to enjoy seeing a player getting back to a level that we knew. And listen, whether it goes on in the future, who knows? Lee, very quickly on Winks for you. You pleased to see this progression?
Yeah, just quickly on Winksy. You know, I think he's doing what we expect him to do. Like, I don't think he's like phenomenal and absolutely amazing, whatever. I think he's doing what we expect him to do. I think Conte can trust him, like we were talking about Rhoden earlier and Jack Tanganga. So to come in as a backup, as it were, to that central midfield pairing, I think he's got another option in there, which is good. I think he's one of our own. He's homegrown as well. It makes a difference in the squad and all that. Great. I think a lot of people, or maybe you don't, but I'm just reminding you in case you do, he played in a Champions League final, right? So to move an English player because they're always worth more money for some reason, to move a homegrown player on in central midfield who's now playing well and passing and scoring and whatever, who has got experience of a massive Champions League run and getting to a Champions League final, that is definitely more sellable than Tunga and Dembele. Are you with me? So if I've got my business hat on, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, he's good and I can trust him and, he could be part of that thing. But actually, I could probably go and sell him today for more money than what I could get for Tunga and Dembele.
You would,
of the way. Are you with me? So
he's very likable as well. He's a likable kid. Yeah.
Yeah, and look, I want him to do well. Like I said, on the same thing with Jaffet, I say the same with Harry Winks. I don't think anybody wants our players to fail, do they? That would be weird.
Well, that'd be ridiculous. Why would you want them to fail?
I think we all get frustrated and passionate in our opinions about different players, and that's what we love about football. That's why we do these shows, right?
Yeah.
But I want all of our players to succeed. I probably, if I'm honest, give a little bit more leeway to people that have come through the academy, like Winks, Jaffet, Harry Kane, whatever. And I did cheekily put on a group about 3 months ago or 2 months ago a quote when everybody was raving about Skip. I put a quote on the group and I was like, yeah, Skip's brilliant. And people were like, yeah. And it was actually a quote specifically on Harry Winks, but it was literally exactly the same as you could use it for the same two players.
Yeah.
We're raving about Skip now, going, he is different level. We were all raving about Harry Winks when he was had Real Madrid in his back pocket in the Bernabeu, right? And I was there that game as well. It was absolutely brilliant, and he played really well. So he has got it in his locker. He has got that experience to play, but is he there yet? No. And will he ever get there? Maybe not. But he's definitely a player that if Conte wants him still in the squad and trusts him, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Rich, what you said earlier there. I think, again, maybe he's a squad player. He's someone you can count on. If we're looking to go Tottenham when we want to go under Conte, then you're right. There's going to be a time where a lot of these players, they're just not going to make that grade. And it's just a reality that we have to sometimes listen, thank them, thanks so much. But unfortunately, like you say, it's one of the cases where we want to get to a certain level, and these players are going to help us hopefully.
Ryan Mason was a prime example of that, wasn't he? Let's be honest. Ryan
reached the level we could get to.
Really like Ryan. He's a coach for the football club now. Obviously, his playing career was cut short because of the injury. But that injury happened way after Tottenham. He was playing for Hull. We'd already moved him on. So do you know what I mean? Stuff like that happens. And again, there was the other young lad. I'm embarrassed that I can't remember his name. He came from I can't remember his name, which is really annoying. I think he came from Swansea or something like that, or went to Swansea. And there was high hopes for him. Another central midfielder. But he was the guy that came before Mason, and then Mason came, and then Winks came after Mason, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, Skip's come after Winks. It's like there's a little pattern going on here. We're producing these central midfield players that aren't quite good enough.
I think people are saying, is Tommy Carroll Lee? Is that you think of Tommy Carroll?
Thank you, Pat. Thank you so much.
Jordan as well, Tommy Carroll, there you go. Peter's coming in, they're all coming in now. Philip's coming in. Johnny's coming in. Kieran's coming in. Ian's coming in. They're all coming in. It's Tommy Carroll.
Is this the shit quiz you were talking about that we do at the end?
Rick, was it Tommy Carroll?
I think it was.
Tom Carroll. Yeah, nice time, crackers. So for our listeners on audio, about 1,000 people just said
Tom understand Carroll that too, are they? Yeah, they're not going to get that.
That's what I was looking for. So, we have got a little bit of a pattern on that side of things. Patience. Look, Winks has been with us in the first team now. He scored? Correct me if I'm wrong. Did he score his debut against West Ham?
West Ham. It might have been first Premier League start. Yeah, first Premier League start.
Yeah.
Would have been.
So there's some similarities there with Eric Dyer, isn't there? He scored against West Ham away on his debut, and he played right back, scored the winner in the third minute. So there was some goals, like Danny Rose scored on his debut, that absolute outstanding goal against Arsenal, and he becomes like a bit of a folk hero, doesn't he? For all Danny's faults when he was at the club, and he had maybe three, but two outstanding seasons with us. I remember being on. It wasn't with you, the group with you lads, to be fair, because we weren't friends then. But back in the day, my other group I've got, he used to get pelters, Danny Rose. He can't cross. He's rubbish. He can't. This is what I'm saying about Emerson. Give him some time to develop. He might be right. And that's the same with Winks.
Yeah, finally on Winks, Dan Timber also says it correctly to go to Winks. Only player that starting 11 today that wanted to push the game forward and try to show some forward passing. Now we're next going to turn to Lucas Mora, who for me personally really changed that game. Lucas Mora again coming on, and it's funny because with Lucas on the show a couple of months ago, I think we were heavily debating. Lucas long term. what is there to Lucas long term? But I've got to tell you, under Conte, I feel like he's found another level when he's pretty much now one of the first names on the team sheet. You know, the direct running today, he was superb, deserved his goal as well. We'll start with you, Rich, because, listen, great goal as well. The way he took it around the goalkeeper, started it in. He just seems to be making a difference at the moment, doesn't he, Mora? A player invigorated under another manager like Conte who wants to get the best out of him.
Yeah, he's now found his role. He's found a purpose. It looks like Conte's got his arm round him. You know, he's a man of God, so he's a good, honest man. You know, you can just tell he's always wanting to put it in. And now we're playing systems, like I said on the show before, where he's got an outlet for his crazy runs. He's so difficult to defend against because he doesn't know what he's going to do. So absolutely. A defender can't tell what he's going to do. But he used to make these runs and then nothing because Mourinho wouldn't play anybody up around him, or he'd have such a ridiculous pass to have to try and make. Now, he's got that pass on because of the players that are there. But today he had the intelligence to think to himself, well, I've not got Son and Kane ahead of me. I've got this sort of floating 2 or 3 up front. So I'm going to make that run myself. And, exactly. As Jay's just said on the screen here, more and more of that.
How do you like it? How do you like it?
Exactly. I love him. I
we were
love
singing
him.
that just quickly. We were singing that in the South Stand the other when he scored against Norwich, and I was standing up virtually on my own in the South, like trying to get that song.
Why can I believe that? That was
always plays with a smile on his face, Rick, didn't he?
That song.
Yeah, he loves the game.
Always plays with a smile on his face. Come off the pitch, singing along to the Spurs songs.
Yeah,
he just loves life, and now he just seems to, enjoy being under Conte, and it shows. Happy players are good players. And I love him. I love him to bits. I love his honesty. I love. You never quite know what you're going to get from him. So long may that continue. That's exactly the type of player like him you want in your side. He'll always come on, he won't mind. You can just sort of see him going, when Conte says to him, sorry, Lucas, I can't really see you working in the system today, so I'm going to sit you on the bench. That's all right, boss. You know best. You wouldn't sort of have him storming out, would you? Or being an arse about it. He's a team player. He's exactly what you need. No, I really like him. I really love him.
Yeah, no, like I say, was excellent today. And again, like I say, when you look at someone like Mora who's given us everything, got to come around to Europe and say Harry Kane. Harry Kane also today, clever finish, came on, made a difference. Good work really from Royale. We'll come on to him in a second. Has also helped to create that. But I think Kane again. I think is it 8 seasons in a row now with Harry Kane, 10 plus goals or more. Slowly starting to find a way back into the team. Consciously, we are going to come on to give you a chance on Mora as well and Kane. But Rob, for you, Harry Kane, is he just doing what you expect him to do now, Harry Kane?
Yeah, I think that's it. And he's just kind of doing the Harry Kane things. Like if you look at all his underlying stats and stuff, like his shots are up way more, touches in the box and that kind of thing. He's getting much more of. And I think as well, I don't know what you do. You know everyone kept going how disinterested he looked under Nuno. I think he did a bit, but I don't think it was as bad as people said. I think part of the problem was he was going in these positions and he was just playing for the least creative team in the league under Nuno. And so, if you're a striker being told to lead the line and you're not getting any passes or anything like that, you're obviously going to look like you're anonymous and you don't care. But yeah, I think he looks like he's found his groove. And I think he, do you know what I really liked? I really liked was it Southampton game? And it was when he scored the penalty and then he had the goal that should have stood but got disallowed.
Yeah.
He just kept, I don't know, this is like a Conte thing that he's
I'm going to say, mindset.
He kept doing this mentality thing, which I haven't really seen him do before. And after he scored the penalty, he was just like calm mentality. And he just looks like he's got his head in the game and he just really looks up for it. He looks like he's really hungry again, which, I don't think you can underestimate how crushing it must be to be the captain of England, losing the Euro finals on penalties. And you're like, you're one kick away from being like a knight of the realm. You think about how like Bobby Moore's remembered.
Yeah,
that
you're
would
right.
be you.
Yeah, it's never spoken enough about.
I feel like he's finally kind of got over that. He's got over the Man City move. and I feel like he's back in the zone, and he's doing the. I love this. I don't know. I want them all to start doing that.
Yeah. Oh, let's get them doing that. Lee, Mora, Kane, give us your thoughts on those performances today.
More. How do you like it?
How do you like it?
Going, it's good. Look, I have been impressed with Mora, the way he has started to change his game, or Antonio Conte and his coaching team started to coach more in a different way. He is definitely somebody now that is starting to add goals and assists to his game. You know, I always keep coming back when I'm over on the show talking about Conte's Chelsea when he won a title with them, and that's an easy comparison because it's Premier League and it's all the same sorts of stats. And he had Pedro, and Pedro scored 9 goals and had 9 assists that season when he won the title. And that's where we're getting Lucas up to that level. Lucas could be the Pedro. Are you with me? And that's important for us. So yeah. I've always thought that he goes down a blind alley sometimes, you know, like I say always sometimes. He sometimes goes down a blind alley or hits a cul-de-sac or doesn't really know what he wants to do with it. And that he's starting to get out of the game. I think I think maybe if he feels if he can believe that he feels part of a team and he's real part of something, you'll get even more out of him. And Conte's comment is that, you know, the big guns coming on and he's been a perfect. I can't remember the exact quote that Conte said. You probably got it in front of you, Rick, but he mentioned Kane and Lucas coming on and changing the game, and that's what he had to have with his first team, as he was alluding to. Yeah. And I think that's really important for Lucas in himself, saying actually, I'm not only just a squad player now. I actually am I am the number one. I am part of his number one, or his starting 11. So I think that's important. I've said so much on Kane. You know my thoughts and feelings on Kane. You know I said that he's already done the contract situation, and I'm going to be proved right when that all gets announced at some stage, I'm sure. And I love him. And Steven Gerrard was heavily linked with going to Chelsea in his Liverpool days, and he didn't go.
And he finished there a legend. He was there a legend, wasn't he?
Finished there a legend.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why Harry Kane can't do that at Tottenham as well. I think Conte coming in, although I do agree with you, Rob, about disinterested. I don't think it was as bad as all that, but I do think that Conte coming in has actually just totally changed the mindset of where Harry is, because he is a top 5 manager of the world, and Harry wants that. And this is why I think we're all getting a little bit jittery, because it's January and we know that Conte will walk if he's not backed, and we also know that Harry will bugger off as well and start making noises. So it is all down to what the club does now, and if they back this manager, I genuinely think that we can win the league. Like, I genuinely do. If he's backed,
if he's backed, it's the key, isn't it? Well, Conte's got proof in that. He's done it before.
500 million. It's not about the money, the actual cash amount. It's about getting the players that he wants, getting the players out that he doesn't want, and fully trusting Conte to say, "Give me the keys to this kingdom, and I will give you trophies." And if the club say, "Okay, let's do it," I think we can win the title or win. No, I said it, and I genuinely think we can win the title. I think we can be back up there again. Yeah. And I think Kane can see that as well, which is why Kane has put pen to paper.
Yeah, Richard would be anonymous. I can just see that TalkSport laughter track in the background coming on now as that comes out. But Lee, I agree with you, Lee. I agree. Conte's done it before, and you got to back it.
Just quickly, Keith Browner makes a really good point there. Kane has to turn up this Wednesday. I think that's a really good point, right? Because,
big game.
Because let's for all the love that I will give Kane forever, let's be honest about it. He needs to take that game and say, "This is my time, and I'm going to have it." If he comes, if we score early in that game on Wednesday, and it's Kane and he's running the show, then also we can win that game against Chelsea. There's no doubt about it. If the big boys turn up and go, "Let's have it." Yeah. So I know Son's not playing, but don't forget Son, ruined them at Wembley a few years back. It was probably a Conte Chelsea, was it? I can't remember. But when he actually put David Luiz on his backside and Dave on his backside and all that sort of stuff. We have got it in our locker at home. We as fans, and there's a lot of us that go, there's a lot of us at season to go, we have a massive role to play on Wednesday. A huge role to play.
Hold it, Lee, with the Chelsea.
I know.
We need your passion for that when it comes.
He does need to show up on Wednesday.
I must say, we've also got to try and fit in a shit quiz here. And I know we're approaching hour 40, so we're pushing it. And there's There's relationships at stake here. There's marriages at risk. We've got to, like I say, control this show, and I'm trying my very best to here. But I'll be honest with you, I'm a bit like Nuno. I'm completely out of my depth as things go at the moment. Rich, we'll come over to you very quickly.
Yes, Nuno.
I'm going to go in a couple of months. Don't worry, I'll be gone shortly. Lo Celso, Dele Alli, quickly on those two. Two players that kind of been indifferently out the team. Thoughts on them today, their performances?
No, get rid. Gone. Lo Celso, no, gone.
Yeah.
Dele, gone. Go, Rick.
That was easy.
Sorry, it's as simple as that. Lo Celso's just showing nothing. Dele's just not interested. So they both got to go. But the problem is, he's getting rid of players like that. But for me, if the chance comes, they go. It's as simple as that. They're just not doing enough. And there's a lot of players. This is a problem we've got now at Spurs. There's so much of that team that needs to go, but you can't get rid of them all in one go. So you have to deal with it in priorities. So you have to have Dembele first gone. Then you need to. I think Dele needs to go. Dele Alli needs to go. I think he's next on that list. Then I think there's those players that we've never replaced that we need to bring in. We've still got to get a lock picker. We've still got to get like an Eriksen, Modric type player, whether he adapts somebody in the squad to that. And then there's those other players that need to go. So this isn't a quick fix. This is 3, 4, 5 windows, and every window doing 3 or 4 players at least to try and rotate round this current squad. Poch was right. It's very well having a great mansion, but you've got to have the furniture. At the moment, we just seem to be sitting on a couple of upturned tea chests.
You mean to tell me I'll be in my 70s? You mean to tell me I'll be in my 70s still saying rebuild? Are you trying to kill me on here?
I'm telling you, it's a big job because we missed out on quite a few windows, and the windows we didn't, we got it badly wrong. So there's a lot to be done here. So
absolutely
right. Lo Celso, Dele gone.
Okay, quickly. Okay, Rich, before a couple of words on Brian Hill. I always have to come to you about Brian Hill, the Spanish connection, of course. Very quickly, Rich, a few words on Brian Hill.
I'm going to end up dying on this hill, aren't I? Quite literally. It's a hill I'm going to die on. There's flashes there, isn't there? There's little flashes. You can see, even today, he had 2 or 3 big old area Division 1, like League 1 players around him. And he just that little flick. There's flickers there, but there's a long way to go. Whether he makes it or not, I don't know, but I like those little flashes that I see from him.
On the Wagoos. I feel like throwing him out today. Honestly, someone give him a bargain bucket whilst he's out there. Someone give him something when he's out there.
He was frustrating today. He was very frustrating.
Go down the restaurant with Ndombele. That's what you should do. Go down the restaurant with Ndombele.
He could swap diet plans for a week.
But that's something he's not come up against, is it? This type of player today. He must have thought to himself, what the hell's going on here? Is these people here that look more like Canarian wrestlers than footballers?
Right, let's go to Lee. Lee, quickly, few words on Dele, Lo Celso, Hill. Go for it.
Lo Celso, absolutely appalling. I think the only reason why he's not getting as much minutes on here as Ndombele did is because he never plays, because he's always injured. And, he's never really had a run in the game or as much chance, but appalling. Dele Alli, I've been one of his biggest advocates. I love him and I want him to do well, generally want him to do well, but the reality is I think he's done. So he needs to move on for his own sake as well as the club's. And Brian Hill needs Wagyu steaks. I mean, that was a thing that I wrote down right at the beginning because Crackers always talks about it. He's so slight. He's too
bless him today. The amount of times he's knocked off the ball. Honestly, someone give him something. Whatever. Can't we give him Adama Traore's nutritionist or give him Adama Traore's coach? Jason McGovern is watching now. Jason, I want Traore here to get his... Go on.
Yeah, John from Manila White Rose actually said the story the other day on Twitter, didn't he? That John Thrower, who is the conditioning coach over...
He's now joined us from Borough,
So if,
Yep.
if he's been conditioning Traore that is like this, I mean,
Please.
just get him in a piece of the action with Brian Hill, and all of a sudden you're going to have a beast on your hands.
Yeah, I mean, I'm backing Traore to come just to get, like I say, that gym, whoever his gym coach is, just for Brian Hill. I really, really am. Quickly, Rob, let's get your thoughts on it. Hill, Dele, Lo Celso, thoughts on those personally?
I think, mate, I think Dele's got to go. He's like, he reminds me a bit of, at times it's like he's forgotten how to kick a ball. Like he'll kick it and he doesn't make a very good connection. It might, like in Space Jam where the aliens come and they take the powers out of the basketball players and they go and try and play basketball. No one can catch anymore. It's a bit like that, and it's a bit hard to watch. So I think, if you ship him out to Newcastle, try and get a bit of Saudi money or something like that. I think it'd be good for him as well to just move him on. Like he's just plateaued, isn't he? Lo Celso, I don't know. I kind of keep clinging on to this guy who looks great with Messi at Argentina and thinking, but if
that's the problem, isn't it? I think that's the problem. I think like John Wenham says John Wenham says he just uses Spurs as a rehabilitation centre. He uses us as a warm up and goes off to Argentina. Can't make it up.
It's happening again, isn't it? Argentina literally around the corner. Like you couldn't make this stuff up.
What made me laugh is Romero. That's all right. Romero's come out. I'm going to be all good for the international games. What about us? You just
great stuff.
Money on you. Couldn't make it up. I tell you, couldn't make it up. Right.
And then Hill. Yeah, I think you're right. I think he needs to beef up a little bit. And also, I don't think he really played that much today on the left where he usually plays. He seems to be floating around the middle. And I don't know. I don't know if that's his best game. It seems like his best moment was that bit at Chelsea where he just old-fashioned winger down the left, get to the byline. Apparently, that was his game a bit more like where he used to play. So I don't know. Maybe there he'll be a bit more effective. But I thought he just got a bit muscled by some big League One boys today.
Absolutely.
Rick, can't somebody at Spurs actually hack into Undembele's Uber Eats or Just Eat account? And every time he orders something, get it delivered to Brian Hill's house instead.
Just divert it to Hill's house.
Divert it to Hill's house. Yeah, that's what we need.
Right, if that person's watching the show right now, listen, we know you watch from the club. We know you're watching. If you are, and Ndombele's Uber management of that order, make sure you divert it to Brian Hill's house and make sure you get the address as well. And don't give it Ndombele double. Don't give him Ndombele double, right? You heard it here first. Oliver Skip, again, he brought energy to that Spurs side when he came on and drive. And listen, really good performance on his Skip when he came on. Like I say, one of the real leaders in that pitch. Right, we are going to go for our final break of the show. Take you into this break, you're going to hear from an old voice. We're going to hear from Chidge over at the Chelsea Fancast, who gives us his preview of a massive, massive game for Tottenham. Biggest game of our season. And like I said, when we come back, we're doing a quick five on this. And you've got Richard Cracknell leading you in to the shit quiz. Right, for our watching audience, unbelievable. It's still about nearly up to 900 of you watching us live. Unbelievable. 10, 15 here in the UK. Unbelievable support. Thank you so much for all the support for the show. Right, quick five on Chelsea. In what is the biggest game of our season? Can we turn it around at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and go through to the Carabao Cup final? Rich, we'll start with you. Chelsea, they made no exception on the weekend of their FA Cup tie against Chesterfield. Put out a very strong team by all accounts. Mm-hmm. What do you expect from Spurs going into this game? Do we still have a chance? You're back with me on Wednesday evening. Just a reminder, in case you didn't remember.
I remember. Yeah, no, it's over, Rick. Sadly, it's too far for us. 2-0, 2-1. If we'd have managed somehow to nick a goal there with one, I just can't see it happening, Rick. For one, I can't see us keeping them out and not scoring. So then there's 3 goals just to take it to penalties. I can't see us keeping them out. And I just can't see us getting those 2 goals. I just cannot. And it comes back to this issue with Kane. This is why I can't quite have him as world class. I think
these are the games, aren't they, when he needs to step up? These are the games.
Exactly. Yeah. He's brilliant for us. He's probably even too good for us where we are at the moment. To be honest, he's not world class. Gets bandied around way too much, Rick. And the world class players go and drag their whole teams, back into ties like this. Ronaldo, Messi, Ibrahimovic. There's very, very few world class players, and that's what they do. And you know what? If Kane does that Wednesday night, then I'll go, okay, you're getting somewhere near world class, but you've got to go and do it again and again and again. And I think it is just a little bit too far for us. We're just not at that level. Like one of our own, Jason McGovern, said, the baby steps. We can't expect to be up near Chelsea. It's a leap too far at the moment. Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, they're streets ahead. So look, like Jason said, if we score first, momentum shift. I'd love us to do it. Heart and my heart, of course, I'd love us to see us do it. Well, it'd just be fantastic. Can't wait to get back on here Wednesday night if we do.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
I'm just afraid it's just a little bit too much for us.
Rob, very quickly, we've got obviously we're going to hand over to Mr. Cracknell over in Lanzarote very soon. Rob, do you think we've got a chance still? You know, if we score early, or even if we're in the game, Rob. You know, everyone's talking about scoring early. For me, if it's 0-0 at half time, do not panic. We are still in this game. You can score twice very quickly. It's about staying in the game, isn't it? To some degree, Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. And we've seen as well in the Prem that Chelsea can be quite flaky. Like even in the first leg, like both the goals were our fault. And they kind of had a few other chances, but they moved the ball around very well. So I don't know. My one worry is that to win, it's going to take such a huge superhuman effort. And then you've got North London Derby on the Sunday.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to take a lot out of the place.
And part of me is almost a bit like, is it worth, you can't not start Kane, but is it worth just running him into the ground and then 4 days later he's got North London Derby? Is it give it a half, and if we haven't scored, do you then be like, right, okay, let's shift? I don't know how. I don't think Conte will do that either, because he's it's against Chelsea, but I think it's gonna be very hard. I think it will be tricky. But as early goal, and it's all to play for. Basically, I haven't committed to any answer there at all.
No, it's fine. We're going to come to you just in a second for that prediction. Lee, listen, I stopped you going on about earlier because I thought there was a little bit of a speech coming there. So I stopped you because you have to stop McQueen when he's in mid-flow, because otherwise you lose the content. So it's about trying to rein him in and then bring him back in. Lee, can we do this?
Yeah, I think we can do it. And I think that it's not just about, realism versus, getting carried away. To be honest, it makes me really angry when people say you're getting carried away. Like, I'm not getting carried away. I'm just trying to enjoy the moments of Conte coming to the football club. That Chelsea result hurt a lot of us, but it doesn't mean to say that I think because we're going to win a football match, a one-off game in cup football, by the way, because that's the whole point of cup football, that I already all of a sudden I think that we're at the levels of Chelsea and the levels of Man City. We're not. Yep. We're miles away. But with a one-off game in a one-off situation with 60,000 people singing and getting behind a team, we can do it. We did it against Barcelona 1-1 when we was in the Nou Camp. And we qualified for the Champions League. We did it against Ajax. Obviously, everybody remembers it. We did it against Southampton all them years ago at the Dell when we were 2-0 down at half time. We beat them 6-2. We can come back. We can beat Chelsea. We beat them recently at White Hart Lane or at Wembley. We've beaten them at the Bridge. We can do it. And as Rob said, they're flaky. Jason, to quote Jason again, I think he's probably spoke brilliantly on this particular subject. They got to play Man City at 12:30 kickoff on that Saturday. So, yes, we got the North London Derby, but they've got a massive game in the league as well. They might come out thinking, if the attitude's wrong, they might come out thinking, yeah, this is done. We're going to roll over Tottenham. They're shit. White a 3-point lane, they used to call it. No problem. And it only takes a Kane masterclass or the team to play brilliantly. And all of a sudden, we're 1-0 up after 8-10 minutes, and then we go and get another one. It's 2-2. And the tie is in the balance. And all of a sudden, they're like, and they're on the back foot. So I do believe we can do it. It has to be a monumental effort. It has to be and absolutely, let's go after it and make it happen. But as we've just talked about for the whole show, attitude, behaviour, the ability, the Conte way, at home, full crowd, under lights, White Hart Lane, this shouldn't be a dreaded game. This should be a game that we want to see and we want to play and we want to win. If we want to be back at the top table, we should be competing. Go out and compete. We did not turn up at Stamford Bridge on Wednesday, and that was the biggest blow, I think, for me personally, with a lot of us. That was the biggest thing, that we didn't turn up. We were a downfall. They were miles better than us on the day. On certainly the first half. Second half, they probably went down a couple of gears. But the reality of the situation is, if you go into that game thinking that it's done, it's done. It is done already. Like, it is not done. We are going to go there and we're going to take them to the cleaners. We're going to take them as far as we can. And if we did, no, I don't mean take them to the cleaners and getting carried away. I'm not saying we're going to go and beat them. What I'm saying to you, right, is that we've got to go there with one attitude, and we're going to give it a large. We're going to give it everything that we've got. And if we fail, if we don't go through, what's the embarrassment? It's Chelsea. They are European champions. At least we gave it a go. The embarrassment was today. That's the embarrassment. Regardless of us winning 3-1, that's the embarrassment. Because of Morecambe, we didn't even turn up. There's no embarrassment in getting schooled and getting turned over by Chelsea Football Club, who have spent billions and billions of pounds on all of their players. That's not an embarrassment. So go out there, get your chests out, and go and play the game for the rest of us, for everybody, and go and win it. And go and win it. Prove to yourselves that, Eric Dyer, you are good enough. Kane, that you do turn up. That we don't need Son, and that actually the Højbjerg situation and the Skip situation runs at midfield against Kovacic and Kante, whoever he plays. That for me, I'm sorry to waffle on, but that for me is.
Oh, Matt, I want to run through a brick wall now. I don't want to have to go to bed. I've got to unload the dishwasher and go to bed.
The problem with this football club is we like to moan, we like to be negative, we like to write ourselves off. Well, let's not. Let's go in there and have it. Was you 2-0 down against Olympiacos when he subbed Eric Dyer? Wasn't he?
Yeah.
Did we win the football match? Did we win against Ajax? Did we win all them years ago against Saints? Did we draw against Barcelona and go through? Did we go to we've got it in our locker to do it. So go out there and believe. And if you don't believe, then what's the point?
Absolutely. What are you going for, Lee? A 4-0 defeat?
Yeah, I think we'll probably lose 2-1. But at least we gave it a good go.
Honestly, I can't take this. I love this show. Right, let's do predictions. Let's start with you, Rich. What are you going for?
A battling 1-1 draw. I just want to see a performance. Lee's right. We've got to put in a performance, but and that's a minimum you can expect. Put a performance in. Let's see what happens. But I think even with a performance, it's just not going to be enough. But that's all I want to see to start with. I want to see the passion and commitment. Who knows? 1-1.
Absolutely. Rob, what are you going to go for?
Well, 5 minutes ago, I think I was going for 1-1, something like that. Now, I think 2-2, take him on penalties.
Yeah.
McQueen going mad in the podcast afterwards. I think the script's been written. It's there.
Yeah. Bear in mind, the show name for this could serve me a divorce. I have to go for a win now, so I'm going to go for I'll go for a 3-0 Spurs win. Lee, on the back of that, I mean, what are you going to give us?
I wish you lot were in my team at work. I tell you, you know what I mean? If you at work, it'd be fantastic. I'd just do a bit of a.
I'm just promoting a 3-0 win.
Listening to them, I can get you to change your minds. Fantastic. I think it got penalties. I genuinely believe.
I don't know.
We can take them to penalties.
Dear God.
I think a lot of people forget what we was in.
We've done penalties. We've done Wolves on penalties. We've done Chelsea on penalties. We've done it on penalties.
We've done Chelsea on penalties last season.
Yeah.
We got to the final last season. This is not beyond us. Yes, the result, taking into account, obviously, Crackers, what you're saying, the result 2-0, if we'd have kept it to a thing. But even Jason's talking positive.
Yeah, Jason's going penalties.
Brilliant. Spurs on penalties. That's what I'm going for.
This is past Jason's time, though. We've gone 2 hours here. What's Jason's still doing the cricket side, isn't it?
2-0 on the night, a Desmond across the tie, and it'd go to penalties.
I love it. Fantastic. Ahead of the game, Conte said he hopes Eric Dyer's injury is not too serious. And he did say Sergio Reguilon was rested for Morecambe. Again, we'll have to wait and see on team news. Right. It is time to hand over to Senior Cracknell in Lanzarote. For Rob, I do apologise. I think I said to you the show's an hour. I did mean to add another hour on and then 10. I'm so sorry. But it is all worth it. We have to end with this. Mr. Cracknell, we've had a win, which means we hand over to the dulcet tones of yourself. Take it away.
Thank you very much. And if Spurs go through this week against Chelsea, Lee, I'm going to get a winky tattoo on my winky. There's a promise, all right? It's not happening.
You have to show us all, obviously, the tattoo.
It's shit quiz time. Welcome along, everybody.
800 people watching this, Rich. There's over 800 people watching this.
No pressure
Madness.
then.
I might have to put the
Alright,
glasses on for this now. Get a bit more, look more
Yes.
intelligent. Do you know
A
what I
little
mean?
bit more
There we go,
gravitas.
look.
Thank you very much. Give this quiz the gravitas it deserves. Thank you, Lee. Lee, you're in the barrel this evening, actually, because it's kind of just past Christmas, but still a little bit Christmassy. I'm stretching it here just to make the narrative of the quiz. So of course, every Christmas, one film you always get on the TV, The Great Escape, isn't it? The great Steve McQueen, isn't it? So tonight we've got Lee McQueen. Oh, the McQueen's in the house. McQueen's in the house. All right. So Lee, are you ready? And Ricky, Rob, you can jump in and help him here if you wish.
Okay,
Would you love to play The Greatest Crepe? You see what I've done there? Lee McQueen in The Greatest Crepe. All right. 5 pancake crepe-based questions for you. Okay.
Oh my God.
You got to give me whether it's a crepe or crap. All right. I'm always on about eggs, ain't I? And chicken.
It's always that.
And it's
Wagon
very,
steaks.
exactly. It's very, very food-based. All right. Okay. So here we go. Question 1 on The Greatest Crepe for Mr. McQueen. The 49er crepe is a North American pancake named so after the pancakes they made in the gold rush. Now, is that crepe or crap, Lee?
I would have
What do
gone
you
for
reckon?
more like the San Francisco 49ers had some sort of crepe going on.
Okay.
I'm going to go
Ricky,
with...
Rob, feel free to help him out here. The 49er crepe.
That is
What are you
crap.
going for?
Is that actually a
Yeah, lots
name?
of comments here. Crap. People going for crap in the
I
comments here.
think crap.
I think crap
You're
too.
thinking
So lock
crap.
it in.
Jason and Don Blaze.
Are you locking that in?
I lock it
Okay.
in, crackers.
Locking
I'm
it
going
in.
for crap.
Right. Well, the San Francisco 49ers was actually named after the gold rush. It's true.
Oh,
It's
You
true.
couldn't make
It
all
is a
that up,
crepe
man.
that exists in North America. The 49er is a crepe.
It
All
is a
right.
crepe.
Okay. Question 2. Crepe dentelle is a crispy layered and rolled crepe and enjoyed with a hot drink in France.
That
Now,
sounds
is that
lovely.
crepe or crap?
It sounds
Crepe
lovely.
dentelle. It does
Double
sound lovely.
espresso with a dentelle. That sounds like you're going to a cafe, wouldn't you?
Also sounds like a left back that Harry Redknapp went after once, didn't it? Yeah, me and Bondi, we've had a look at Crepe Dentelle. Good left back, good boy. He's a good boy.
We'll get him in.
Can't
Give him a couple
we
of games.
replace him with Don Blaze?
Yeah. So is that crepe or crap? Is that
What do
actually
you
a
think,
crepe?
lad?
Crepe
What are you going
Dentelle.
for?
I think
got
maybe
them.
crap because I can't imagine eating a pancake with a hot drink. How does that work? Do you know, is it like a chaser and you do it after? You like neck it after? How does it
Yeah,
work?
possibly.
Yeah. No, but it could be like
layered.
it could be one of them hardened ones. You know, like you get them rolled.
Crispy layered and rolled. Crispy
Yeah,
layered and
okay.
rolled.
Maybe crepe then.
That's
I'm going
difficult.
to go crepe.
Going crepe. Well done. Yes, it
Oh,
is a
Lord.
crepe.
Yeah, come on. That's
Correctamundo.
2-0. That's 2-0 for against the Chelsea already. We're going to go to penalties. Come on.
Okay, number 3. Tanguay's crepe is an expensive but underwhelming crepe from Lyon in France. Is that a crepe or crap? Tanguay's crepe.
I'll be honest with you,
crap.
mate.
That's
If
gotta be
that is-
crap.
If that is a crepe, that is absolutely brilliant. It's got to be crap.
It's got to be crap.
So we've got to answer crap. But if it's a crepe, I'll take the loss.
Are you saying Tanguay's crepe isn't a crepe and is actually crap?
That's
He
exactly what
calls
I'm
it
saying.
crap. It's absolute crap. Tanguay's crepe. Well done. You saw through my pancake thin facade there of a joke. Well done. All right, number 4. It's nearly over. You're nearly out your misery.
Simon,
Rob.
you
can
haven't
go
turned to the wrong
You can go
channel.
and empty your
Good one, though.
dishwasher,
Good
make
one
a
in
cup
our
of
favour.
tea.
Just fast forwarded.
Number 4, a fermented rice batter crepe in South India is also called a dosa. Is that crap or crepe?
If it's fermented, I bet that's disgusting, man.
A
You see,
fermented
I'm
rice
100% of that,
batter
it's
crepe.
fermented
Oh,
eggs.
crap.
And
It's
they
called a
like
dosa.
eat 'em. A dosa. I mean, a dosa
Okay.
is somebody that don't do anything. Again, probably a bit Tungo and Dumbella, isn't it? He dosses around. the
Tyson
pitch.
Fury, innit? He calls it, hey, you're a big dosa, doesn't he? He calls
Yeah.
everyone a big
Yeah, he
dosa.
does. Yeah.
So is he calling everybody a big South Indian fermented pancake? Is that crap or crepe?
Well, I've lucky enough been to India and spent about 3 months in India, and I never heard of this thing. But I'll be honest with you, it's a big country and there's like over 1 billion people in it. So there could be somewhere, knocking up this fermented pancake. I just don't think, lads, do you think that you can ferment a pancake?
Fermented rice batter.
Rice batter.
I think it's crepe because it's so random. If you've made this up yourself,
I would go with Rob. Yeah, I'm saying it's crap.
All right, I'll go with the majority. I'll go with crepe. I think it's true.
Well done. Yes, it exists.
Yes, Rob.
Yes, a dosa is a crepe in India. Well done.
Someone's actually said in the comments.
Yeah,
Rohit says I'm from India and they're crepes. Yeah,
there you
nice
go.
One,
yeah.
Jack,
well done.
Love
there you
go.
No help from our studio audience, please.
No.
Number 5.
Asking the audience.
In Denver, a crepe is called a darrell, named after the hall. In Denver, a crepe is called a darrell, named after the hall they were originally made in. They're made of using batter using mixed John oats. Is that crap or crepe?
That's got to be crap.
Okay.
So in Denver, a crepe is called a darrell, named after the hall they were originally made in. And they were made using a batter mixed with John oats.
That's crap. It's got to be.
I reckon. Look, the thing is, lads and listeners and viewers and team. That's all my team. We're already 3-1 up, right? So this is it don't really matter if we get this one wrong. But if we get it right, I reckon we go through against Chelsea. So it's a big question.
Oh, we've got to get this one right, haven't we?
I think
crap or crepe.
I think it's crepe. I've got a weird feeling it's crepe.
I think
what do you mean, Rob?
Crepe as well.
Hang on, isn't this like a Hall and Oates reference, like the old?
Yeah.
Oh, in Denver,
a
crepe is called it's called darrell, named after the hall they were originally made in, and they're made using a batter mixed with John oats. True or false? Crap or crepe?
I think it's
crap. Mate, we're getting battered. It must be crepe. It must be crap.
Must be crap. You're right. Darrell Hall and John Oates. Come on. Well done. You won 4-1. You won that one. Well done.
Oh,
there we go.
There you go. The greatest crepe. McQueen, you've absolutely smashed it. If we win 4-1 against Chelsea, then wow. Well done.
Will be alive. I tell you, we will be alive.
We're gonna win that. And also, of course, that was very, very fast because the other person, of course, with my surname is Lightning McQueen, who's also very, very fast.
There you go. There you go. You heard it here first. Guys, thank you so much. Rob, lovely to have you on. What a debut. Apologies for the show length. How we kind of roll around here. We're going to try and get this under control. But like I say, I'm Nuno trying to configure the team. So we will, like I say, try and bring this down in time. But listen, thank you so much for, over an audience about 800, 900 people watching us live tonight. Incredible support. Thank you so much as always. Lee, lovely to have you back on. We've missed you. You're back. Hopefully, we can look forward to hopefully a final if we can get past Chelsea.
Hopefully. I mean, we've got to go out and do it and then worry about North London derby after that. Let's go out and do it. Like, I did put a cheeky Twitter poll. I do love a poll on Twitter, by the way.
He loves a
poll. If you follow me at Lee McQueen on Twitter and you've got a chance, go on there, retweet it as well. It was simple. It was, will Tunga Ndombele ever play for Spurs again? Yes or no? So just see
yes or no. Simple yes or no.
See what it looks like. That'd be really, really good. So yeah, thanks for having me back on and look forward to it. I think I've got a good run coming up, haven't I, Rick?
We've got you asked. You've got some nice fixtures coming up, Lee. Don't worry about that. Nice fixtures in there. Rich, thank you so much as always. Love a shit quiz on the back of a win. You're back, of course, with me on Wednesday. Rich, I'm conscious I haven't asked you. Have you got a quick minute? What's coming up in the diary? Give us a minute stroll down very, very quickly. What's coming up? Can you give us a quick minute?
Over in Feb, so restrictions pending. Chrissy Waddle down in South Wales doing an evening with him. Clive and Paul Allen at Dartford. Glenn Hoddle in Hereford, and a few others as well. Harry Redknapp as well, down in Leatherhead, but some of those have sold out already. So, yes, once I fly over early Feb. When's the Carling Cup final? I don't want to get too far ahead.
I can tell you when that date is because I got double booked for so that I can say the date
of
that.
This is coming from a man, by the way, listeners and viewers, this is coming from a man pre-McQueen speech that said the tie is done. There's no
20
way back. We ain't going
Listen,
through. Now he's asking about the Carabao Cup
27th
final.
I'm led to be 27th of February. I'm led to believe 27th of February.
27th of February. Right. I'm
Yeah.
saying no more than I'll be in the country.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hope we're having a show at Wembley Way, Rick. Have we
Fingers
got
crossed.
somewhere booked for it already?
All I'm saying is, keep your ears peeled. There might be a massive Last Word on Spurs coming live to you. Fingers crossed if we win. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Jason McGowan, who's on with us on Wednesday. Show must finish 23:59 Wednesday. You know, he's not even on the show and he's dictating the times. Got to love Jason. Absolutely love it. We've got a great show coming up with you. Rob, very quickly, where can we find you on social media? Give us a hint of where we can find you.
Yeah, I'm just Radio Rob Howard, Twitter and Instagram. That's the one.
Lovely. We'll keep Capital live. Big fan of Capital. We'll have that on the car. So make sure, like I say, we keep on following. Listen, from Crackers, from Lee, from Rob, from me, guys, keep safe, keep well. We are back after a Lee McQueen masterclass on Wednesday evening. Keep safe, keep well. And as always, come on, you Spurs.